So, we're gonna be watching the Pontius. Warhammer 40k YouTubers are a disgrace. So, let's get right into it, shall we? Yesterday, Mad Chemist and Iron kinda went off their fucking rocker. But let's continue. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Greetings, esteemed viewers. I am the Pontius. Those that are returning fans and subscribers already know me pretty well. But this little introduction is for the many people that in fact do not know me. And are here because they found this video specifically. Oh yeah, there is also my co-host, Pio. Say hi, Pio.
Hey, how you doing?
Damn, he sounds
And
tired.
that's enough of Pio. If it wasn't obvious from my extremely thick accent, I am Italian, and so are all other members of the channel. So I hope you won't have a problem understanding me during this video.
Nah,
In
I'm
case,
good.
my apologies. I am doing my best. But let's get to business. This video will already be decently complicated as is. As you will have understood when you clicked on this video, I am a 40k lore
Honestly, it's
master.
probably
I
better
discovered
at being
Warhammer 40k in
English
2019
than,
while I was still
you
a
know.
university student that couldn't speak 2 words of English together. It fascinated me so much as a concept that it drove me to learn English in my spare time by myself. And in
That's
6
pretty
months I
good.
was already a European C2 level in the English language,
Ooh.
learning it for Warhammer 40k specifically. And to be honest, learning it through 40k, by watching lore videos in English and reading the wikis and lexicanum in English. As you can see from the videos published on our YouTube...
That's how I learned English too, just with anime and games. My first, introduction to English was actually Minecraft. So,
channel, you are
I learned to say pumpkin before my school taught me. Hell yeah!
dealing with a YouTuber making mainly long-form content on 40k lore subjects that are obscure, or even unheard of for many people. I'm talking with you specifically, Caco Dominus. Our videos have been praised by many for extreme lore accuracy, smart humor, but especially for the theories we have formulated in the years. To be honest, the videos I am the most proud of in the entire channel are the Bada War series videos. We covered the entire war beginning to end in 4 parts, and in the 5th part we offered an answer as to why Luft Euron went mad and started the events that would lead to the war itself. We have given an answer to the mystery of the missing Primarchs, offered an alternative and to be honest better structured lore to explain the creation of the Primaris Marines. Recently, with proof, we discovered the true origins of the Emperor of Mankind, of humanity as a species, as well as our purpose in the 40k galaxy, as well as the purpose of the Emperor as a living being.
God
We have
damn,
done enough
what?
investigative research to put to bed once
Hello, monkey. Bye-bye, monkey. Have a nice sleep. I'll be honest, I'm not too interested in Warhammer lore, but this guy makes it palpable to listen to, in my opinion. Just not quite my thing. Yeah, no. I'm not too deep into lore either, but he does make it very interesting, right? Go sleep. I think I need more sleep. You do. Maybe you should sit this stream out and go to sleep a bit earlier so you can actually, live tomorrow. Maybe it'll get rid of your clumsiness too, Me not asleep, hey, sleep, retard. Oh, okay. Go asleep. Okay. That makes sense.
and for all the discussion on female space marines. And I mean it. We ended up contacting former employees of Games Workshop that were there when 40k was created to ask for explanations. As you can understand from this little presentation, I am proud of the work we have done and we do. But I am not making this introduction for everyone just to brag about our videos. This introduction to this video has a very specific reason to exist. All that I have explained until now serves one single...
Hey, I know it's only 36, but you're barely functioning. You're barely functioning, okay? You had what, 5 hours of sleep yesterday and 2 hours of sleep the day before? Come on, man. Come on. You know you need it. Come on, just lay in the bed. Have me in the background on 1% volume if you want to, if you don't want to miss the stream. And go to sleep. No 6. Wow. I'm so proud of you. That's a step forward. However, you need a little bit more. So go to sleep, please. It'll also get rid of your clumsiness. God won't hate you as much anymore. Trust me. Come on, man.
video has a very specific reason to exist. All that I have explained until now serves one single purpose. Making you understand from the beginning, before you even watch the video, that I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Damn! Uh-oh. Yeah, you know, so you can see all the pictures on the right.
And before you leave an angry comment under the video, keep in mind that Luetin is not on the cover for lore accuracy, but for another big problem that in my opinion discredits much of his own work. So, we'll get to him, just wait until then.
In fact, I was wondering why he was in the middle of a bunch of inaccurate lore channels.
I won't waste time in this video to thank people, they already know how appreciated they are anyway. But there is a little backstory to give as to why this video is being made. Now, for the people that hanged around the channel for a while, they will either have seen my post about a series called Lore Destroyers, or the recent first episode containing some of the best moments of it. Lore Destroyers is a series of videos, in long form and unedited, that is entirely contained to the Patreon of the YouTube channel. It is very simple in concept. Me and Pio, and usually even our narrator, meet up once a week with the members of the Patreon and watch videos that the Patreons themselves are sent in for us to watch. Usually lore videos by either big or small creators, with either good or bad opinions, or good or bad levels of lore accuracy. We are pretty much lore reviewers for the members of the Patreon. Now that I explained that, I want everyone to know that this video was made because of the Lore Destroyer series. The Patreon at the time of this video has 15 episodes published, and there is a common theme in all of them.
Damn.
The quality of both big and small YouTubers that we are asked to review for lore accuracy is, to put it simply, abysmal. The bar of lore accuracy for everything that we have watched for the Patreon until now is so low that by this point it is sleeping with the corpse of Barabbas d'Antioch.
Again,
don't
we are
know
not
what
counting
that
Luetin
is.
in this. He's in the video for another reason.
And now,
Damn.
not only we will spend our
Alright.
time to show you how inaccurate and wrong some of these YouTubers are, even if, trust me, some in my opinion are deliberately lying about the lore to push their own political agenda. But we will put to bed a lot of myths that many of these same YouTubers are perpetrated over the years. Now, keep in mind before we start, I don't consider myself the only expert on Warhammer 40k on YouTube or in life in general. Very far from that.
Yeah,
I am an
fair.
expert, Pio is an expert, many other people are experts. In fact, there is many in our Discord that I consider on our same level of knowledge when it comes to 40k.
God
This
damn.
just before somebody
Lore
thinks this video
talks.
is made out of arrogance. No, it isn't. I don't even dislike many of the YouTubers that we will talk about today, but I feel that as sources of information, and I am speaking of all of us, we have a duty to be as impartial and as precise and correct as humanly possible. So, know that the standards I am applying to all of the people that will be featured in this video, I am also applying to myself, and I expect that you will apply them to me in the same way. It is why in every single one of our lore videos, we feature the sources used for the video in the description, so that if you think we are wrong, you know exactly where we looked for the lore we explained in the video. And to make how I feel as clear as possible, I took a clip from a video of Louis Rossmann that explains it in the perfect way.
But I don't want you to get the idea that I expect you to trust me. I want you to apply the same standard to me that I'm asking you to apply to everybody else, even the people that are telling you what you want to hear. Always demand information, always demand primary sources, always demand proof, and if they can't provide it, stop listening to them, even if what they're saying supports the way that you see the world and your pre-existing biases.
So,
Alright,
now that everything
okay.
is clear, we can start. And where to start if not with some of the biggest creators of Warhammer 40k? We will start with
Where's
Wes
proof,
Hammer.
Mummy? Proof of what? You gotta tell me what I gotta prove, man. Come on. It doesn't work like that. Fuck you. Go fucking suck a dick. Monk is your name. That's where my proof is. That you have your pants on. I don't! I don't have my pants on. Is that what you want to hear? I'm honest about it. When I have them on, I have them on. If I don't have them on, I don't have them on. It's that easy. Fuck you. Go suck a dick.
Now, for reference, for the Lord Destroyers episode where we watched Wes Hammer, we were sent very old videos coming from his TikTok, where he talked about how the retcon of female space marines, if it happened, wouldn't really matter. how he didn't care one way or another, and where he used objectively stupid examples to try and justify it.
But the lore changes all the time, and a lot of the new stuff is pretty good. My perspective in the universe of the Grimdark, where there's nothing but war, enemies on all sides, the Imperium is constantly strapped for resources. From my perspective, anybody that can hold a gun, men, women, children, doesn't matter. You're on the front line. If it happens, awesome, I'm on board. If it doesn't, whatever. I understand the people who want their Space Marines to remain a sausage party. I honestly get the appeal of the Brotherhood of Space Marines. But if you use the lore as an argument against them, why aren't you doing
Enter the stream and the first thing I hear is, I don't have my pants on, just great! We're watching Warhammer lore video by Pyond. Fucking... What is his name again? Pontius! Yeah. Welcome, Merwald! Hello! I want to shave his head. Fair
against
enough.
the Primaris, or Gilliman being resurrected, dreadnoughts that can be piloted by a living host, or literally anything involving Call. So if you didn't know, the idea of female Space Marines is pretty controversial in the 40k community. A lot of the lore purists out there point to the Sisters of Battle saying, we don't need female Space Marines, we've got sisters. But let's be real.
That's not the reason. It just doesn't make sense. By the Emperor, this is a heretic.
Awesome, I love them. But they have nowhere near the diversity or the attention paid to them by Games Workshop as the Space Marines do. The Space Marines have tons of different legions and tons of different lore.
They're the main focus. He has that specific voice that makes me want to headbutt a wall. Fuck you, motherfucker, especially when he's watching Kirche.
And no matter who you are, you can find a Space Marine Legion that resonates.
I know what you're talking
They're all
about.
super different. The sisters, not so much. Lore purists like to say that there's no reason for them to exist from the lore's perspective. But my man Fabby Spile right here has been creating a whole new race of people that are genetically superior to Space Marines. And the women in it are super badass and even stronger than
The new men are not genetically superior to Space Marines.
the males. He also was quoted as saying, I will never understand the Emperor's decision to bestow his gifts on only one half of the human population. It was hinted at in his most recent
He was talking specifically of Space Marines in this same book. He calls Marines a genetical dead end.
book that he's working on a Chaos equivalent to Primaris. So Chaos might actually be getting female Space Marines first, proving once again Chaos is far more...
the good point. Oh, God. Point he think it is. If the bad guys do it.
More inclusive than the Imperium. Personally, I want to see women represented in the Space Marine
Stop
Legion.
calling them
But
legions.
I get it if you want your
Legions,
Space Marines to
40K,
just be
40K
beefcakes all the
chapters.
time. I just want my Legion to be an armor-clad sausage party. Jokes aside, I genuinely understand. I get the attraction to the fraternity. I understand all the memes about brothers. What I truly, truly don't understand, though, is the argument that it goes against the lore. Because the game's been around for 30 years. The lore's changing all the time. Some of it for the better, some of it for the worse. Backgrounds created tyranny.
Why would you celebrate the lore changing?
That's ridiculous. But if your argument against them is only because of the lore, why don't you have a problem with the Primaris Marine? Because they go against the lore too. They were created by Call, not the Emperor. And tinkering with the Emperor's designs is heresy. You don't have a problem with these things, or Gilliman coming back, or the Eldar gods, or Space Marines having friggin' grab tanks.
I don't know
And don't
about
get me
that,
wrong,
so I
I've met
can't
people
really
that have a
talk.
problem with all these things. It seems like the loudest voices are just complaining about women Space Marines. Number one, he's right. I've been wrong before. I'm a huge Warhammer fan, but I'm not an expert. I've read all the codexes for multiple editions. I've read like 85 of the books. But there's over 600, so I'm still learning new stuff every day. And when I find out new information, I either make an update video or correct myself in the comments. TikTok won't let me edit a video that's already been posted, though.
But by word of mouth, long before even thinking of this video, I heard that Wes Hammer has made a promise to be more accurate canonically and explore and explain the universe better when it comes to lore and canon. Because of that, me and Pio decided to go and watch his video on the retcon of the Terminus Decree. And I must say, he might be a bit better at explaining the lore and being just slightly more accurate than he was in the past, but I couldn't help but notice that he has some of the worst approaches to lore I've ever seen in my entire life. This entire video was nothing but trying to find an excuse for the lazy and, to be honest, very shitty writing of Games Workshop.
If I set all of my biases aside, and I'm being extremely generous, the research notes from Basileau Foe and the Anti-Astartes bioweapon is technically never explicitly said to be what the Terminus Decree is. It's all just heavily implied, with an admittedly extremely on-the-nose heavy hand. if Games Workshop was to come out and say that that was all just a misdirection, don't worry, the bioweapon, the research notes, that's all still canon, that's being held somewhere on Titan, but we never technically said that's what the Terminus Decree was, and don't worry, here in 10th edition, we're finally telling you what it actually is. As much as I hate to do it, fine. For the sake of the argument, in this moment, I'll buy into that and give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe this really had been what Games Workshop was planning for the Terminus Decree for over a decade. Maybe this really isn't a retcon. Full disclosure, I don't believe that for a second, but alright, let's go with it.
Now, don't get me wrong, many times Wes Hammer said in the video that he was being the devil's advocate. But at the same time, I don't see him pointing the blame directly against Workshop for how many times they have fucked up the lore in the last few years. The Primaris, Female Custodes, the Terminus Decree, the lore about the aspirants of the Grey Knights. Because in the same codex where the retcon happened
The thing is, female custodes make less sense, it still makes no sense, than female space marines. Because of the death toll, right? Space marines are easier to create than custodes, so that just doesn't make sense.
Terminus Decree, there is another piece of lore that explains how because of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the recruits of the Grey Knights have thinned out. They don't have as many, and because of that they are, and I'm quoting the codex here, attacking Imperial institutions and other Space Marine chapters to steal their aspirants and psychically sensitive recruits, to then hide evidence of their own actions. I hope I don't have to explain how dumb this retcon is. This is Badab war level heresy. If anything like this canonically happened, so many people would openly go against the Grey Knights that they would end up annihilated. And even then, do you want to know why this retcon makes no sense whatsoever? Because of the entire story of the Psychic Awakening. Because of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the quantity of human-born Psykers in the Imperium of Men has grown considerably. So even if the galaxy is cut in half, the Grey Knights should either feel just a slight drop in recruits or no difference whatsoever. At least not on the level to have to attack other Space Marine chapters to steal their psychic recruits. Which I would argue wouldn't even be that many. The chapters of Space Marines don't recruit Psykers specifically. The newly inducted initiates are introduced in the Librarium if they show potential. But the chances that it happens at all are minimum on a good day. And there is zero guarantee that these aspirants will even be compatible with Grey Knight's gene seed. They were screened for compatibility with their original chapter of recruitment, not them. So canonically the Grey Knights are probably killing dozens of Space Marines, best case scenario, to steal 1 or 2 recruits from every attack. And those recruits have even a minimal chance to survive the basic induction on Titan. I hope I don't have to explain more to make you understand how fucking nonsensical all of this is. And this has been happening.
It would probably be more worthwhile to just go to a hive city and plunder Dad, comparatively, because it makes less losses, because I don't see a hive city defending itself against some Grey Knights, not gonna lie. But some Space Marines from another chapter? I see them defending themselves, even if they have to gank up on one Grey Knight. God damn. The losses to win ratio they would have by invading other chapters just doesn't make sense. Huh?
For years.
Also fucking heresy?
If Wes Hammer thought that this retcon...
Hold on. Gonna try to sleep at 1 a.m. So I sleep 6 hours each weekday. Still sleeping earlier than my normal 3 a.m. Fuck off! Sleep at least at 11 p.m. Come on, 11 p.m. is fine. Sleep at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. is fine. It's good. My God. Gotta pop some Tylenol after hearing this American leprechaun sounding a goober.
was the only bad one. I must wonder how active he is lore-wise. In this same video, Wes Hammer talks about how instead we should give props to Games Workshop, because keeping straight the lore of the 40k universe is no easy task, and they have done at least a good job with it. And I'm quoting Wes Hammer here.
I'm well aware that here on the internet, when you're talking about Warhammer, the safest opinion to have is always going to be the one that criticizes Games Workshop. The YouTube algorithm loves outrage more than it does thoughtful critique. But normally, I'm not that kind of guy. I always like to give credit where it's due. And the truth is, GW doesn't get enough credit for how consistent they usually are. Yes, sloppy retcons happen. But when you compare their missteps to the sheer mountain of lore 40k has built over the decades, I'd argue they handle the continuity better than almost any other franchise of this size. Look at the big comic book universes, for example. There's constant retcons, collapsing timelines, reboots every few years, alternate dimensions, and far too many time travel resets. 40k never did that. Sure, it can be a convoluted, impenetrable mess at times, but it never threw up its hands and said, well, we lost the plot. None of this is canon anymore, time for a reboot. Instead, they just keep stacking more books on the pile. 10 more every month, year after year. Look, I don't like every single change they've made.
Yes, they ruin a lot of things, but they also don't ruin things sometimes. So don't criticize them. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
For the years in 40k. I don't have to, and neither do you. All of that is subjective. But I still think it's worth giving some credit to the authors, considering just the sheer ludicrousness of how much they have to juggle when writing these books. From my perspective, if they get a 98 or 99% accuracy rating, then that's still an A. I'm not gonna get hung up on every little detail or inconsistency.
Wes Hammer, what kind of 40k universe have you lived in for the last few years? Games Workshop being good at keeping the story straight? Removing the amounts of small inconsistencies that you can find in all works of Games Workshop, they are not even close to 50% consistency by this point. Take the Primaris as a retcon, for example, because they are a retcon. Do you guys know what happened when the Primaris were announced and became forced into canon? And I'm talking before the 4 years of novels that it took before their lore became even acceptable as canon. When the Primaris released, the lore was that the new Primaris gene seed cured all of the curses and genetic mutations of all chapters and progenitor Primarchs that still afflicted their own sons. So yeah, when they became canon, you could say goodbye to the Wolfen, to the Red Thirst, to the Black Rage, to any other kind of mutation that made chapters unique. This was changed when an uproar happened in the community, because everyone rightfully pointed out that at this point we were just playing reskinned Ultramarines, and when Games Workshop realized how much they fucked up with a change in lore so big, they re-retconned the already retconned Primaris lore just to reinsert all of the curses and mutations back in. Great planning, Games Workshop. You should go in the corner and be ashamed of yourself. But this video created a big question in my mind. One of the main points Wes Hammer brings in the video is that they reveal, for how stupid it is, of the new Terminus Decree, because props to him, he does mention that it was pretty much confirmed what the Terminus Decree was in the final books of the Siege of Terra with the story of Basilio Foe. In his opinion, required at least a good novel, if not multiple, to be brought to light in an appropriate manner, instead of being just thrown as a paragraph in a codex. Now, this is an opinion like any other. In my opinion, the Terminus Decree should have remained a mystery. It is a mystery from over a decade, and whatever they did would have never lived up to the hype. But now I wonder...
Fair.
Wes Hammer, why are you making this argument for the Terminus Decree as a retcon? I looked at the entirety of your channel, and I don't see any video similar to this for the recent travesty of the female custodes retcon. Now, before anybody screams at me, check on the channel. Watch these 3 videos in order, which are why female custodes can't exist, the importance of lore, and as the final one, why female space marines can't exist. I covered all of this pretty extensively, but the main doubt I have is, seeing that the old video that we covered for Lord Destroyers of Wes Hammer talking about I will be okay with a retcon that inserted in the universe female space marines, why didn't he make the same argument for the female custodians retcon? Added at random in a custodes codex, contradicting all sources and world building that came before. Again, watch the videos I listed to understand in which way, and that then was made worse by a tweet of Games Workshop confirming that not only
No, hey, go to sleep! Hello, Happyson, hello.
Now they exist, but that they always existed, spitting in the face of long-running series like the Horus Heresy. At this point I must think that you are not okay with this retcon because it touches something you yourself liked. And yet, you didn't touch the female custodians one, because it agrees with your own ideology. Things shown once again by the video we were sent for Lord Destroyers. Sorry for the interruption, but as we were writing this part of the video, something was brought to my attention. Wes Hammer talked about the female custodians debacle in the comments of another video. Obviously, this only reinforces my suspicion that he didn't make a video on this specific topic like he did on the Terminus Decree, because it agrees with his political agenda. But let's see what he said all the same. Firstly, the main comment Wesammer is answering to claims that the female custodians are fine. By lore, they are not fucking fine. Watch my video on why they can't exist for more details. But the answer of Wesammer, strangely in the first part, agrees with me. Retconning lore through a fucking tweet is extremely dumb, even by Games Workshop standards. Hope the specific community manager got fired or something. Then he claims that the lore of how they were introduced is a mystery. No, Wesammer, it is a retcon, not a mystery. They didn't appear in a specific point in time. By claim of Games Workshop, they were always there. There is no mystery, it is just dumb writing. And then he claims that if it was done with Space Marines, that would be a different conversation. Because Space Marines have as their core tenant in their stories their sense of brotherhood. Pio, what is one of the names of the Custodians faction?
Banana Studies.
I mean, yes, but also Brotherhood of Demigods. And before we get the usual smart guy in the comments that goes, Brotherhood doesn't mean only males. Okay, then explain to me, what does Sisterhood mean? Just out of curiosity. The second answer instead is where things get extremely dumb. Wesammer.
Doing not good because I'm watching a mummy. I'm doing pretty well, happy son. How about you? Or, you know.
Like Major Kill and Bricky did, claims that the female custodians introduced in the 10th edition Custodes Codex have some pretty cool stuff. Pio, ma che cazzo di codex ha letto sto qua?
What the fuck?
Non lo so. Più leggo questa lore più diventa una merda.
Tre dei più grossi youtuber di fottuta lore e tutti e tre non capiscono un...
fucking lore YouTubers and all three don't understand shit about the lore! It's unbelievable!
Cazzo della lore! È una roba scandalosa! The 10th edition adesso...
When he speaks Italian, I feel like I'm watching some cook scream at another cook because he broke the spaghetti! I'm sorry, but I hear that! You know, the guys that are like, not approved, or approved.
Custodes Codex introduces a grand total of 3 officially named female characters. Kalladay Starovalia Kesh, Bayezzara Gonades, which makes my entire team laugh every time she's brought up, because in Italian gonadi means testicles, and this woman is called a Gonades, and Sister Stateriel. Do you want to know how good their lore is? If you want to know it fully, you will have to watch Lord Destroyers episode 6, where we demolished all of this lore beginning to end. But to give you the short version...
Stuffed with dim sum, got wood for a cupboard that I'm going to make, so good. Hell yeah. I should make myself a cupboard. You know? A wooden one, my own. I could like put on a thin layer of or a second layer with a picture on it, you know? I could make that. It wouldn't be too hard. Maybe I should. And then show it on stream. Huh.
She was part of a Blood game that didn't follow any of the rules of any prior Blood game for some reason, and their entire plan for the Blood game was live in Terra, requisitioning a ship, have a teleporterium installed in it, steal a cyclonic warhead, an exterminatus level bomb from a depot, go back to Terra, and teleport it into the Imperial Palace. Now, removing how dumb and overly complicated this entire plan was, to the point that the lore behind there is literally 2 pages long, and the plan would have 100% failed around here. And the more you read their story, the dumber it fucking gets. Thank you, Games Workshop. So, she didn't obey the ancient rules of the Blood games. Made a plan so overly complicated that there was no fucking way in hell it would have worked to begin with. And their entire plan was teleporting a bomb in the throne room, when the Imperial Palace is defended by a state-of-the-art system of void shields called the BIIIGs. And when even the lowliest human soldier knows that teleporting isn't an option against void shields, it is literally the first rule you learn about them. You cannot fucking teleport inside a void shield. You would expect an highly trained expert strategist of the...
It just works!
bit of the elite of the custodians to know that. But I guess the writer didn't know either. The second custodian is BIIIG Gonades, the inventor of such an incredible military strategy called the BIIIG Constellation, that was so revolutionary as a tactic for fighting that her entire shield company was named after her.
Yes, go Queen Slay.
Do you want to know what the tactic is? The tactic is very simple. BIIIG and her warriors mount their jet bikes as their voice ship air brakes across the target's world's atmosphere. The moment drop velocity is achieved, the constellation depart the vessel's launch decks and plunge through the atmosphere like falling stars. And before you think I am making this up, here is the screenshot of the past.
The moment drop velocity is achieved, the constellation is streaked from the vessel's launch decks and plunge atmosphere like falling stars, and cautious foes may even be awed by the spectacle, at least until BIIIG's warriors descend upon them. That sounds like a hell pod from Helldivers. Excuse me. That is not a battle strategy. that is just a Halo drop pod thing. Except the jet bike isn't sealed. Oh. So wait, they just took the brunt of the... Oh. They would have died on entry to the atmosphere, no? Because of friction and shit, right? Because the bike isn't sealed, as you say. I didn't know that. That's just suicide, isn't it? Hold on, what? No, you can't be fucking serious. This, come on. Who wrote this? Did they hire someone from Skeb? Oh, God.
Now, this is all well and good. If it did have any fucking sense behind it, removing the Primarch Vulcan tested the planetary re-entry through an atmosphere when he escaped the clutches of Conrad Kurz. Just saying, he didn't arrive on the surface alive. But even then, these custodians have as a tactic re-entering a planet atmosphere without any kind of inertia dampeners or heat shielding, in literally just their armors and on space fucking bikes. The heat will melt the joints of their armors and burn them to ashes before they even reach the surface. And the third custodian instead is Sister Sateriel. Sister Sateriel died again.
Canonically charcoal! See, this is the level of lore degeneration we're suffering. This is terrible! What the fuck? I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy! God damn! I didn't say that to you, sorry if you thought so. I was saying that to Mumi. I would never be rude to someone who isn't Mumi, unless that day I feel like it!
Against demons on one of the first engagements of a campaign that by lore has not yet concluded. This is the cool lore of the female custodians, like by Major Kill, Bricky, and Wes Hammer.
I have read better fanfictions with characters named ironically Karen.
So, accuracy, decent. Opinions,
Karen.
completely and utterly nonsensical. Games Workshop is a billion-dollar company. Stop trying to find excuses and spending your time trying to correct their mistakes. If anything, they have shown a complete lack of quality control in the last half-decade. So, if they get something wrong, stop trying to justify it for them. And say openly that they have made a mistake. Because even if they will never confirm it, we all know.
What manner of sadistic bastard was I in another life to deserve this? Horus. You were Horus. You betrayed the Emperor. You deserve this! Fuck! You're still a sadistic bastard, but now you're punished for it with Warhammer shitty lore.
Know when they do make mistakes. And the terminus degree is the
Well,
smallest.
off to yeet myself into a volcano. I'm already compiling videos for Moon. Oh. Well, my next vacation or time off is probably, well, I will have like a Friday off, I think, in a couple months. And otherwise, 6 months time, there will be, you know, another 2 weeks in summer. Fuck my life. Or I use some of the vacation I have saved up. How many weeks do I have? Like 5, 6, 7 weeks of vacation? I saved up quite a bit, didn't I? Anyway. I'm compiling money for his funeral after next drinking stream.
Example of their complete and utter incompetence in the last years.
We are all passionate about lore, but we should at least demand standards from GW when it comes to writing. It seems they are just publishing random stuff at this point.
And now we move to the next one, Arbitorian. To give some context, I never had a strong opinion on Arbitorian. Mainly because I never actively watched him as I was learning 40k.
Okay.
The first videos of his I watched were for Lore Destroyers, where we watched his appearance at IGN as a lore expert to answer popular questions. Which, if you ask me,
IGN? Really? Also, I probably need to move a little bit more. Let's do this.
it was completely wasted time. The questions were medium level at best, and nothing a check on the wiki couldn't clarify. The majority of them could be answered by P of all people. They didn't need an expert.
I don't know if I should feel flattered or offended.
And removing some grievances I
Both!
had with some of his answers, like when he answered that the Black Shields are members of a chapter and such, that for one reason
Looks at the dragon sword of bandages I have. Let's hope the drinking stream is when you're on vacation. Of course it's when I'm on vacation. Even though, if it's on a Friday, I could probably recover by Saturday evening, so it's fine. Well, I mean, I probably can't buy enough alcohol. I probably need to, like, down 4 bottles if I really wanted to get to the point you're talking about in terms of alcohol, because 2 bottles don't get me there. I'll puke maybe once, but I'll be fine the next morning, or even just a couple hours later. You know? If you really want to get me to a point where, yeah, there's no return, 219,000 bandages, yeah, but last stream I turned it off and made it money only, so tough luck, buddy. But god damn, 219k? How? Where? I do stream every day, don't I? Fuck. Makes sense.
or another, honorable or not, have left their chapter and joined the Death Watch, completely ignoring that Black Shields were a thing during the Horus Heresy, and they were members of traitor legions that never betrayed the Imperium of Men and stayed loyal. And after the corruption of their former legions, they dyed their pauldron having the insignia of the Legion Black out of shame. And his comment, that another YouTuber we will soon talk about called Eons of Battle repeated, that the creation of Space Marines is literal magic. No, it's fucking science and genetical engineering. Want to know more? We explored all of it in the video What is a Space Marine? Go and watch it. I can guarantee to
even
you...
I know how a not how, but that a Space Marine is created with fucking science and genetics. Even I know that. For God's sakes, when fuck, I forgot his name. The main character in Space Marine 2, the game. When he got his upgrade at the very beginning of the game, it got explained that it's a very painful process where your nerves get replaced with like metal and stuff like that. Not nerves, fucking muscles, some of them, tendons specifically, and shit like that. This is magic? That's heresy.
The word magic doesn't appear in the entire video.
Magic.
But then I was sent his videos. And oh boy.
Uh-oh.
My opinion went from neutral to straight up Italian anger in a matter of minutes. I will put it in the simplest way I can to explain what I think of Arbitorian. Arbitorian is a liar. Plain and simple. We watched a grand total
Space Marines are made by saying bippity boppity doo.
of 3 videos of Arbitorian for Lord Destroyers, and all of them either lacked context, misrepresented reality, or straight up lied just so he could claim to be right. Let's
What
go
the
in
fuck?
order. The first video we watched was The Case for Female Space Marines, 28 mag challenge. So, let's debunk it claim by claim. The video starts with him obviously already insulting the opposite side, calling them the wrong kind of nerds for being against one of the biggest retcons that could ever happen in 40k.
Female Space Marines, nothing is more likely to get the wrong sorts of nerds clutching their beards in
Oh my
dismay.
god, shut
He then
the
claims,
fuck up.
obviously, after discounting every doubt people have on the matter as mainly sex stream at the agent,
So before we start, we should be aware that a lot of the arguments against female Space Marines are nothing but angry little boys being sexist online. That's often the underlying thing going on.
that the limitation
I apologize. That seems nonsensical. I'm going back to my corner.
the Space Marine
Hang on, Mumi. Of all the content around Space Marines, do you ever hear how they are glad that they are Astartes? Now it's their duty. They serve, protect, in the name of the Emperor. It's a duty, not a want, right? That's what it's all about. Discipline. It's not a reward. I'm back and I'm better than ever. Hell yeah, buddy. So, no, I have never heard an Astartes say how glad they are that they are an Astartes. The Emperor says suck and they say how hard. I mean, kinda.
cannot recruit females because of the genetical composition of gene seed is very
Yeah.
rarely mentioned.
First, because it changes the background. Okay, fine. Yeah, it would. The current fluff states that only a small proportion of people can become Space Marines. They must be male because zygotes are key to male hormones and tissue types. There you go. No female Space Marines. But it's worth saying that this isn't stated very often. It appears in this old
So?
issue of White Dwarf, but that's kind of it.
Now, you can watch my video on this matter, because I spent a full hour dismantling all the arguments of people that advocate for this retcon
So we started with content maker video or a Space Marine video. We started with the content maker. YouTubers are a disgrace video. We started with this one. 2 hours. Anyway, I'm getting through this.
in every way possible, just in case you want to know more. But I challenge you to check in every single edition of a Space Marine Codex and look under the
I want to hear him say, "My name is Ezio Auditore de Firenze, and fuck your mama." I don't know why, but I do. God damn.
recruitment section. I'm sure you will find the paragraph that for one reason or another limits recruitment to only males. In fact, the only
God
codex
damn.
in recent times that doesn't have it is Horus Heresy 3.0, and everyone got angry about that, because the line was moved from the recruitment section into another section of the codex. So, we're already catching lies here, Arbiter. Let's go
damn.
on. He then, as usual, claims that this retcon changes nothing because Warhammer
It
40Ks are always
does.
subjected to retcons of some kind.
So, having female Space Marines
why
in the
is
world
that
would require
okay?
changing the background. But so what? Warhammer fluff changes all the time. Even the fluff around Space Marines has had pretty big changes before.
Obviously leaving out the fact that most of those retcons were of very small stuff that had at the time very little lore, and not of rules and world building that have been
not
there from the
okay. I
1990s to the
know.
point that changing that little rule would invalidate hundreds of books and codexes. He's pretty much comparing the retcon of removing Ilian Nastase, the Half-Eldar chief librarian of the Ultramarines, that was an Half-Eldar space marine in an officer position of a chapter, in a very extremely xenophobic Imperium that doesn't tolerate mutants, so you can see why he was retconned, with demolishing the foundations of an entire faction overnight just because retcons happen. Very good argument, Ian. Hope you
What
back
the
it up
fuck?
with more than just your personal opinion. He then obviously announces that Games Workshop could just retcon and say they always existed, and uses an excuse that for 30 years that we have been told that Marines are only male, it was all articles and pieces of lore presented by unreliable narrators, leaving alone the fact that the principle of the unreliable narrator cannot apply.
I go into this a bit more in my recent video on canon in 40k, but Games Workshop have a few established ways of making changes that aren't just outright retcons, but would easily solve this. For one, they could just announce that female Space Marines have always been possible, like they do whenever a new model's released, and that this ancient White Dwarf article is just an example of unreliable narrator. The ancient scribe that wrote it was just wrong. That's been done plenty of times before, but it doesn't explain why we haven't seen them yet.
Yes, I appear against Professor Pio. The concept of the unreliable narrator applies to works of fiction or historical reality when the events are being recounted by people that took part in them after the events have already taken place. This means that the only way in which you can have an unreliable narrator is if two conditions are true at the same time. The narrator must be a character inside the story, and he must be recounting it after by his own testimony it has already happened in the past. If the narrator is not a character in the story, he has no reason to be unreliable, because it is an omniscient narrator with no reason to lie. If the character instead is part of the story, but the story is happening as you're reading it,
I like to explain it as the story is happening as you turn the page.
Then once again the unreliable narrator can't exist, because the story is happening in the present from the eyes of the character you're following, meaning that you're seeing what they are currently seeing as it is happening in the present, so they cannot misinterpret what is happening at that very moment in front of their eyes.
He obviously then uses the excuse of the Primaris and plot device Belisarius Cole, saying that Games Workshop could simply say that he created them.
The easiest way, though, is just to take advantage of 40k's new advancing timeline. Primaris Space Marines were introduced a few years ago, and in the background they're an improvement on the original Space Marine template that changes the biological procedures that go into their production. In world, as you'd expect, this is a controversial decision with the potential to be seen as heresy, but it's pushed through by Robert Guillemot.
Ignoring the fact that Belisarius Cole didn't create the gene seed, just upgraded it. He doesn't know how to adapt it on women, as the gene seed by itself is incompatible, as all the Primarchs were males. He then goes on the usual tirade about how they changed nothing.
It would take one line of text to announce that Cole also figured out gene seed that works on girls, a change.
So he can barely figure out how to upgrade it as is, but he can genetically modify it to work on the opposite gender, just like that. Man, I don't mind. Really, man. I think gatekeeping has a reason for its existence. And I can see why people want to gatekeep 40k. Honestly. Huh. Huh. Bitch, you work for IGN, Ian. I don't trust you with Jack and shit, and Jack left town! New R-word argument. Yes, it's mentioned, but it's mentioned not often. IGN is trustworthy as a meathead in an alleyway holding a rusty knife. I'd still trust the meathead more, true. But I feel like I'm being conditioned to be angry every time I hear the word retconned. I mean, what you gonna do? Deus Ex Machina, Belisarius Cole?
That is completely believable in world, wouldn't change any of the previous fluff, and works really well with the Imperium's general ethos that all humans are a resource to be used.
About how Space Marines are asexual?
So yeah, female Space Marines would either change something or require an addition, but so what? So does everything. Finally, on this point, even if it changes the fluff, how much does this really change the setting? I've been using the terms male and female Space Marines throughout this, partly because those are the usual terms used, but we know that sex and gender are kind of irrelevant to Space Marines themselves, and certainly irrelevant to any of the stories they're in. I'm conflating a few things here, but they're portrayed as effectively asexual, aromantic, have had most human emotions removed, and seem to be incapable of experiencing love except for filial, that between family.
Ignoring the fact that he works against his own argument, as a change that changes nothing has no reason to happen. And even then, Marines, as confirmed in the first book of the Horus Heresy,
my favorite argument against, why are you so against this change? This change changes nothing. Well, don't change it then! Next use. This setting is from Brit bong a land. It's so funny to me how people are like, this is such a small change, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, don't do it. Don't do it if it doesn't matter. If it don't matter, don't do it. What the fuck? The change is happening because it does matter.
Thing has no reason to happen. And even then, Marines, as confirmed in the first book of the Horus Heresy, might be asexual, but they still have male organs. A remembrancer in the book Horus Rising sees the organ of Garviel Loken while he's showering, and she even mentions that he's wasted as a space marine with that kind of equipment.
So, in the context of a typical Black Library novel, apart from a few pronouns, what would allowing female Space Marines actually change? Arguably nothing.
The entire history and a lot of people who get their hobby invaded. Again, I don't think gatekeeping is all that bad. A game for everyone is a game for no one. Well, I don't care specifically about Warhammer. I don't care about other stuff. You don't matter. That's why nobody does you. The change mattered. Just not for you. Fair. Yeah,
he repeated
that's
like
true.
2 times that it changes nothing. How does he fail to see that if it changes nothing, then it has no reason to happen?
He then commits
Yep.
one of the gravest sins of the 40k setting, which is just ignoring the nuances of all the orders of the Adepta Sororitas and just calling them the female army of 40k like a true fucking lore master would.
If we're talking about the aesthetic of women in power armor being done, well, Space Marines and Sisters of Battle have considerably different aesthetics and cultural influences, and everyone seems to be fine with having a range of different aesthetics for men
Well,
in
of
power
course.
armor. Why is women in power armor just limited to this? But
But we have silence and battle. There's two things.
mostly, I think when people say this, they're arguing that the model range already includes one faction with female models, so why do you need another? Viking army, check. Roman army, check. Female army, check. TV tropes would call this the Smurfette principle, and the issue with it is that it assumes being female is the sole trait a character needs.
Now listen, we can't go through the entire video, because we made
My
a Lord
God.
Destroyers episode on the videos we're talking about here, and we had to stop every 15 seconds to debunk something this guy said. The rest of the video is literally a tirade on how the Space Marines could be seen as a satire of toxic masculinity, patriarchy, and all the
God.
bullshit people like him believe that 40k represents.
That Space Marines can be seen as a satirical comment on, well, a number of things, including religious patriarchy, masculinity,
don't.
and gender. Warhammer
Please
40k was
don't.
written as a satire of, well, many things, and one of those things was organised religion, particularly Christianity, because that was the dominant one in the UK the writers grew up in, and at the time still had over-influence on popular culture. Christianity is famously a patriarchal religion and full of father-son dynamics, and the origin stories of the Space Marines inherited a lot of that. The Horus Heresy owes a lot to Paradise Lost, and themes like the betrayal of the father are prominent in 40k. Space Marines over the years have been more and more likened to monastic orders. Space Marines being men could be seen as part of the wider religious satire of the setting. And you could go even further than this when you think about what Space Marines actually are. Children, taken before puberty and given an alternative to growing up that
And what's wrong with that? It's a dark fantasy. Like, what the fuck? Satire, yeah, sure, Ian. You Reddit atheist-looking motherfucker! Again, why does it matter where the inspiration came from? If you change the inspiration after 30 years like that, you destroy your own foundation. You destroy what made it great. Why would you do that? Just because of, oh, my toxic masculinity. Like, why? God fucking damn it. Can you listen to this diatribe? Oh, I'm not listening to him. We're listening to fucking whatever.
turns them into fighting machines.
We're listening to Pontius. This is his video. He's debunking him. Okay, it's different.
Big, strong superheroes who never get old and never get sick and hang out with their friends all day fighting bad guys. They're a silly 8-year-old boy's idea of what being a man is, all duty and honor and fighting and no emotions except anger and no girls. That's just toxic masculinity. Surprising how this one never gets...
That's how you sum up for Warhammer 40k? Holy shit! What heresy! I'm sorry, this Horus heresy pales in comparison to this. What? We're listening to Pontius, the Italian lore master. Yep. Oh my god. Yeah, great argument, Ian. Let's upend several decades worth of established for seemingly no reason at all. Yep. Can say that I'm not lore master. In that case, why a man in armor only space marine? Where is brothers of battle then? But it's about you. Oh my god, Seta. Oh my god. Now that I think about it, you'd never be accused of toxic masculinity. You don't have any in the first place. Oh, you bitch. Oh, you bitch. It is what idea of a man is. Honor, immortality, victory, and pain, unless it's too toxic for you. Okay, now I know why my tofu is expensive. Mr. Soy is taking all the soy of the fucking world. Erebus isn't as much of a twat as you are currently, Ian. God
used by the angry gamers, right?
Obviously without proof. Just look at Captain Titus and Lieutenant Mira in the first Space Marine game. The man gave himself up to the Inquisition just so Mira wouldn't be captured and tortured. Pure toxic masculinity.
You will submit to my authority, Captain, or the Inquisition must conclude that you have corrupted every Ultramarine under your command, not to mention those who stand at your side.
God damn it.
Ignore his threats. Come on.
The Inquisition will destroy you, Mira, and the Ultramarines will be forever dishonored. Leave my brothers and the lieutenant alone. I will come with you.
He then misinterprets comments made by Alan Merritt regarding the original first edition minis that everyone says were female Space Marines. They were not, as confirmed by Alan Merritt himself in our video about it. Go and watch it. The first comment he misinterprets reads, "These were sculpted by the designer as female Space Marines, but it wasn't an official brief, and they weren't released as that."
Alan Merritt was for many years Games Workshop's head of IP, but back when those were released, he was the design manager of the studio. And in 2018, he jumped on a thread where he explained a bit of the original decision-making process. These were sculpted by the designer as female Space Marines, but it wasn't an official brief as such, and they weren't released as that. The reason there aren't female Space Marines has nothing to do with lore or background or character of Marines.
It does
it's
now!
to do with the simple logistics of making and selling miniatures. Early Citadel Rangers had female versions of most character types. In fact, when we produced the C range, the intention was that upwards of 25% of the models would be female. But retailers kept complaining to us that customers weren't buying the female models, and could we not include any in the restocks? So we took the female models out of circulation. So when we got to the new Rogue Trader ranges and exciting new Space Marine model ranges, it was difficult to see how we could logistically add an occasional female model to the mix. We knew that if every Marine blister had a female model as one of the three, then folk would complain, so we didn't make any female ones. All the background fluff about why there are only male Marines is there to justify a commercial logistics issue. So the reason for Space Marines being male is basically a marketing decision based on what nerds in 1987 wanted to buy. They listened to their customer base at the time, which means that if nerds in 2021 want female Space Marines, surely the good business decision is to change it.
But the comment continues with, "The process of making and releasing models back in the day was quite varied. Designers tried stuff, and we asked them to make all manner of weird and wonderful things. Pretty much confirming that the designers were throwing shit at the wall at random and seeing what stuck. Nobody told them to make those models. They made them and they were discarded later." And then an entire comment about how the non-existence of female Space Marines was a logistical issue. Yes, but it was when their lore was still up in the air. And because people didn't like the objectively really ugly old female models of Games Workshop, they stopped producing them and justified it as an in-lore reason. Meaning that what was at first a logistical issue
is now a lore issue. Holy shit. How am I better at lore than the guy that's trying to explain lore and apparently a lore master? Oh my god. Okay, now I know why might. Oh, hold on already. Looks like a British Bashar al-Assad. Goddamn. Little odd potential romantic undertones with that sacrifice. Oh, goddamn it. I just thought of something. What would the mummy look like without the wrapping? Do not? Do not? Because these models were, well, just look up the old models and sculpts. No, thank you. I'd like to keep my sense of sight. Ariburian, your feelings about Space Marine lore are not real. Literally every Warhammer fan, they are real to me! If the miniatures were sexy, people would have bought them. Probably. How about non-binary Space Marines? Guys, let's talk about the real issue here.
then became confirmed lore, and now it cannot be changed without massive problems. He then has the goal to mention a lore reason as to why the Adeptus Sororitas are all female.
But wait, they cry, Sisters of Battle have shapely armor and boob plate. Well, yeah, but there are some reasons for that. First, Sisters of Battle really are just really physically fit women, without the crazy growth hormones or extra organs. But also, Sororitas armor has obviously female coding because it's really important in world that people realize they're women. The Adeptus Sororitas exist because of the decree passive that stops the Minotaurum from having men underarms. They're essentially a loophole. So their gender is designed to be obvious through their armor.
After for the entire video he has advocated that we should retcon the lore as to why Marines are only male for no reason at all, by going openly against canon. And he then, at the end, explains how he will change the lore to include females. He wouldn't change the sprue, he wouldn't change the models, he will leave everything as is. We'll point at a random armored space marine with an helmet on and say that's female. Pretty much showing that he wants to change the lore not only for no reason, but with no practical use either.
So shorter? Nope. Pin-up proportions? Nope. Long hair and makeup? Probably not. Just a female head swap? I'm not really a good enough sculptor to manage that. So where does that leave us? Well, for now, here's what I think a female space marine in full armor would look like. Exactly.
Oh, go suck a dick. Oh, go suck a huge fucking dick, you piece of shit. Oh my god. Oh yeah, let's not change anything. But why would we make the change then? Oh, you know, to cater to people. This is what it's about. This is what he wants. Oh my god. You know, the word twat. He looks and talks like the word. That's an insult to the word twat. Hello, dude. Angry Italian. Yep. Zerhud, you're woman coded. Get fucked, Zerhud. Hate the whole woman coded bull.
The same. This is what I'm going to be using as the basis for my 28 mag entry, a standard intercessor. And this is why Games Workshop should make the change. It's the easiest way of giving the fans what...
Just don't make the change! If the change doesn't matter and doesn't change anything, why put the change in, you dumb piece of shit? If it doesn't matter, don't change it. Holy fuck, it can only go wrong! I don't know anything about Warhammer, but I know a lot about DEI. Exactly.
They want, because they don't really need to make any new models. They just need to say it's possible.
So, wait. His entire argument is that GW should change the lore because why not?
Because
the perfect argument coming from a 40k lore master. If only somebody made a 1 hour long video debunking every single way to introduce them into the lore in extreme detail. But if it was only this video, then I could let it slide. But we watched another two, and things only got worse as we did so. Secondly, we watched the video Canon and Retcons in Warhammer 40k. Everything is canon. Now, I don't want to waste too much time on Arbitorian, so I will briefly tell you what this video is about. This video covers how Arbitorian doesn't understand the concept of world building, the concept of timeline, the concept of retcon, the concept of addition versus substitution, and the concept that Games Workshop coined the phrase everything is canon but not everything is true because they are writers that sucked and couldn't say so openly. Like CS Goto for an example. He even says in the video that if something is retconned and you don't like the change, you can just go back and be happy that what got retconned still probably exists somewhere around the galaxy.
But this way of working allows loads more flexibility in a game that isn't really intended to have a linear timeline. It's designed to be flexible. And generally, old fluff is always kept around.
What do you mean it's non-linear? Yeah, there's some people who like time warp all over the place and the warp has a different time. But that's a different dimension. What is this fucking argument? Huh? Laughs at trauma of years of being in the culture war, goddamn. My pattern recognition is turning physical now. It's not just mental anymore.
In some form. If you like something about the setting and Games Workshop do something new with it, then the likelihood is the version you like still exists somewhere.
Failing to understand that a retcon is a retroactive timeline change, meaning that stuff hasn't suddenly changed and there is a new version at the same time as the old one, but that the new version is the only one that always...
No.
Yeah, I bet I did.
No.
You coward.
Fuck you. How is he gonna say
I
it?
am going into sleeper. Habafuna everyone and take a Korea cheer one.
No, not a multiverse. Please don't make a fucking multiverse. Hello? 2014 called. They want their arguments back. God damn it.
existed. Want to know more? Either watch the episode of Lore Destroyers where we covered this video, or first watch this video and then watch our video The Importance of Lore, to learn how lore and world building truly works, because Arbitorian seriously doesn't know how they work. And the third video, unfortunately, we watched in private as we were writing this video. It is called How Do You Solve a Problem Like the Imperium? Taking 40k lore back from the far right.
He's one of those that sees 40k to the lenses of political ideology.
Unfortunately, it seems a trait common with people that don't understand 40k. Yes. In this video, obviously, Arbitorian claims that the Imperium in 40k should be seen as satire.
So the Imperium of Man is terrible. It's an authoritarian, oppressive, intolerant, incredibly conservative,
Do you know why? Because the Chaos Gods, if it weren't, would have such a fucking easy time to invade every single planet that is not Terra! Even I know that! I know why it's so... Mind my fucking French, by the way, conservative, because it wouldn't work otherwise! They need to be because of the fucking demons! But demons are good. We're not having the free reign debate right now. Go suck a dick. This is such a dumb argument. What? This makes zero sense. None. We're not having that argument right now, Pisa. No. I know you're being joking, but oh, it makes me angry too. Why can't we have just evil guys sometimes? Why do we gotta make everyone redeemable? Not everyone is redeemable, okay? Some people are just evil, okay? And demons, as a species, are genuinely chaotic. They do not care. They don't have feelings in that universe. They just want to kill and get stronger because it's a status symbol of their race. Holy fuck. It's that easy to explain. Why do you gotta read into it that deep when there is no deep? You're trying to go fucking deep diving on ankle foot high water. It's shallow. You cannot dive. Let's just ignore every fucking reason why. Fuck Chaos, the Orcs, and Genestea. gene stealers would be even more devastating to the Imperium than they already are. Exactly. Why are you complaining about body type 1 and body type 2? It's not an issue. Type shit is gonna hit Warhammer, isn't it? Probably. You're gonna have a character creator soon in Space Marine 2. You're not gonna be playing Titus. You're gonna be playing Titusy.
A phobic state that allows no other option to exist in the galaxy. And also, it's fascist, right? Well, I could do a whole video on that subject, and we could argue over the exact definition of fascism and if the Imperium fits that description, but it's actually irrelevant, because like the First Order in Star Wars, the Imperium is coded fascist.
Despite even the beginner's guide to 40k that released recently claimed that it moved away from satire, and it is now a tale of tragedy of humanity struggling against the dying light. He then spends the entire video dunking on the methods of the Imperium, methods adopted out.
Well, they remind the left of certain people. Well, I mean, they do remind themselves of it every time they look in a mirror, don't they? With all the fucking hate speech this, hate speech that, violent riots and shit like that. I don't know. Really, the word. You're a fascist, Ian, religious.
Of desperation for the survival of humanity, all the while accusing them of being fascist, and then showing off only pictures of Nazis.
But you're meant to look at this and be reminded of this. You're meant to look at uniforms like this and be reminded of this. They're code.
Do you want to show the military uniform of any other military as well? Go on. Do it. Make my fucking day.
Did I jump scare you? Yeah, I bet I did. You coward.
I have bad news for you, useless. I didn't look at how long the videos were.
Kappa 1, were you a dog?
I didn't look. Maybe I'm not even gonna get through this today, but you know. No, because that rip. No, because that invalidates his shit tier argument. Exactly. This is such a non-argument. What the fuck? They don't have mirrors moving. Yeah, for humans, you have heavily religious regime, Imperium, or caste system society, Empire of Tau. Everything else is eternal torture, chaos, dark elder, or death. Literally everyone else. Yeah, pretty much. But that's okay. That's what we want, right? We want to give in into our greed, into our lust, into our anger. I mean, Korn isn't masculine toxicity. No, he's just... I can fix him. Man, I can't believe what I just said. Oh my god. How did I come up with that? Wait, it's happening.
Words for this is bad, and the Imperium of Man works in a similar way. We're meant to see the xenophobia, the
Can't believe you're watching a 2-hour video when you won't watch my 1 hour and a half video on a Monster Hunter channel. Okay, look, it's different. This is lore and debunking other YouTubers, alright? Look, it's different, okay? I'll stick with the Imperium and humanity. Fuck that shitty excuse of a war god, yup. I mean, I still like the sentence, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. You know, that's fine. I like that. I love that, right? And he still has a reason to exist, right? Oh, it's great. Exactly, right? And I may have been a bit too loud, but anyway.
Incredible conservatism and tradition, the obsession with purity and pure genetics, the worship of militarism and creating superhumans as, well, this.
Obviously, we will ignore the fact that the Imperium of Men is technically an authoritarian feudal theocracy, as every planet is left to govern in the manner they see fit, as long as they pay the tithes and enforce even loosely the religion of the Emperor to stave off chaos. But everything people don't like in this day and age is fascist, at least for people that understand zero of politics, like Arbitorian and many other 40k YouTubers. He spends the entire video making claims without showing even an hint of proof. He even complains that we only see Space Marines in a good light from the side of the Imperium Imperium of Men and humanity.
As the setting grew more mainstream, the aspect of Space Marines as noble warrior monks became more and more prominent, resulting in a world where
no. That's the salamanders, the warrior monks, right? They are gentle giants, right? But they're the only one. You see a Grey Knight, you didn't see a Grey Knight because you're dead. Right? Most of them will shoot and stomp on civilians just because they saw them. Or they're in the way. It's not that fun, you know? In a world, in a universe where the most wholesome guys are the ones that burn their enemies alive. That's a pretty dark fucking time. What word you dislike this time? But Khorne was such a hypocrite and tried to use trickery to corrupt Rogel Dorn, and Khorne fucking failed to corrupt the Praetorian. Well,
abused, intolerant, mass-murdering child soldiers are only ever portrayed from the Imperium's point of view, as genuine heroes. This is like Star Wars, but with no rebels, where the stormtroopers are our lead characters doing the good work of the First Order.
Except that would be fucking boring and bad writing. But Space Marines are fucking awesome, and you see all the wrongs they do. You do. However, the universe is so fucked up that there is no good guys. You, however, want to see some good guys, and you're shifting to the demons. I can see it in your eyes. You're gonna say Slaanesh isn't that bad. Khorne isn't that bad. It's just chaotic. I can see it. I can see it now. You know, if Warhammer would have written by women, we would have seen novels about Demon of Khorne falling in love to a simple woman in agriculture planet. No, even better, in a hive city. Hello, Dairy 55. Welcome. Hello. God damn. The Crimson Fists were doing a good job to protect life. Let's not talk about them doing a breeding program to try and produce more aspiritants. But it didn't really work out. Yeah.
She raises the question, why the fuck will we care about the opinion of a military force from the side of the people trying actively to exterminate us? I doubt their opinion will be good when they get exterminated in return for trying. Don't you think, Arbitorian? He then complains that Games Workshop is portraying the Imperium of Men as unnecessary evil.
Second, as the setting expanded, it started to justify the Imperium. As concepts like the Warp or the Horus Heresy were fleshed out, the Imperium became less of an oppressive state and more of a necessary oppressive state.
Because that's the goal with a foresight having immortal emperor. If the goal was to keep me alive, and I have a very oppressive, powerful, immortal, future sight having guy, and he tells me he's gonna become the emperor of mankind and it's gonna be grim, I'm gonna fucking do it. Like, what? Because it is Ian, you absolute lemon of a mane. Compared to what would woman write using Warhammer lore, burning people alive would not be that terrifying. Fair! You know what? You're right. Imperium on the 21st century thing is evil, but every faction is 100 times worse. Outside of Craft World, Eldar, or Imperium of Tau. And I'm not sure about that. Tau is literally enslaving some of the races. Aren't they? Are they not enslaving weaker species to work for them? And for the cause of the greater good? I thought they weren't just diplomatic. They're diplomatic to strong people, right? The Dim Kuluba was... It's worse. That first wife was whispering in his ear while he was working on that book. Goddamn. Oh my god.
In the world of 40k right now, the justification for the Imperium's actions is that without them, humanity would be doomed. The result is a
that is very apparent if you look at anything going on inside the warp. Try forcing their first client species into extinction. Oh, nice. We have genocides going on in the good guys. Wow.
Of work which spends vastly more time portraying the Imperium as a necessary evil and the Space Marines and commissars within it as noble heroes than it does pointing out that they're bad. It may be the unintended development of 30 years of game design, but we've...
Motherfucker! Space... Hold on, I'm confusing names. Warhammer is nothing but a numbers game. Who can put the number of the other guy to 0 the fastest? On a grand scheme of things, grand scale, Warhammer is nothing but numbers. It's a meat grinder. Enslaving the Vispits, making them dependent on the drugs they produce. Oh, wow, okay, extortion as well. Who would have thought?
Ended up with a setting that states that sometimes the horrible fascist option might be the only way.
Which it is by definition seeing the lore written in the last 2 decades. Just watch my video The Imperium are the good guys of 40k to know why in extreme detail. We cited sources. But
each of the races are good to themselves. The Tau are the good guys to the Tau. The Imperium are the good guys to the humans. And so on and so forth. Except with the Gene Stealers. I think they're just one giant hive mind, if I remember right. So, nothing but meat bags, technically. The Tau, however, are too fucking terrified of the crew to do anything even subtly against them. Oh my god. There is not a single faction in Warhammer, except the Salamanders, that are likable in personality. As a whole. Right? No demon, no human, except the Salamanders. No, you know? Or the orcs are likable. You know what? I fucking say it. The orcs are likable. Because they're fucking simple. But only if you don't stand in front of them. They are only likable if you don't stand in front of them. Because you will either get captured and done some terrible things to you, or decapitated in an instant. Well, no, I think they'd probably crush your bones first. Yeah. You know what? If I literally had an actual demon from hell appearing from one place from the planet and seeing literally living and walking angel, we all would have praying to our Lord and Savior Jesus. Yep.
Then he lies about the claims of Warhammer is for everyone, and the Imperium is driven by hate. Warhammer is not.
Anyway, the upshot is 40k can have a bit of an unsavory reputation in the wider gaming world for attracting fascists. And while we all know it's a tiny minority, it's a big enough problem that Games Workshop will have to make multiple statements condemning being a fan of the Imperium and confirming that, despite almost everything they release saying the opposite, the Imperium is still totally meant to be satire. If you have to explain that, then it isn't working.
Completely not providing the context that the first one was released during the 2020's George Floyd riots in the US. And obviously everyone got angry about it because Games Workshop is British and had no business as a toy company to comment about the riots and their underlying political issues. Just watch the final part of my female Space Marine video to know why. And the second instead was for a Spanish wargamer that entered a tournament in his country, dressed with clothes sporting political symbols and signing himself Austrian Painter. The guy did it literally for trolling, but he won the tournament because everyone else in it was so weak and offended by his attire that they forfeited en masse and made him win. Thing that pushed Games Workshop to release this article. It is not a problem of the fans in 40k, it is a problem of the trolls controlling of a single person and the weakness of other 40k players. He then makes an argument that Games Workshop should start portraying the Imperium of Men as an empire facing impossible odds and having to keep their own morality in a grey area out of pure survival, and start portraying it again as the bad guys by using the Cicatrix Maledictum as a plot device to create smaller human empires that are not aligned with the Imperium, but fare better.
But I think there is a way you can keep the Imperium basically the same, but remove it as a necessary evil, and since 40k now has a progressing storyline, it's not even that difficult to do. Here's my suggestion. Warhammer 40k 10th edition is released, and just like the last 2 editions, the timeline has moved forwards. The Cicatrix Maledictum has spread across the galaxy, vomiting forth legions of chaos and Xenos and cutting off vast sections of the Imperium. Yemen's Indomitus Crusade has rallied the defenders, doing a good job of shoring up the new, reduced frontiers of the Imperium, but the tendrils of the Cicatrix continue to spread, isolating more and more of the galaxy from Imperial control.
The Emperor's not sitting on his throne for this. He ain't sitting on the throne for this shit. Man. I like the ones whose planet was destroyed and they built training camps on their destroyed planet for one reason: revenge. This is one of the things I know about Warhammer. Saint Flight of the Fentanyl, in this name we pray. Of course, a definition of schist is everyone who disagrees with my ideology. Exactly, lol, forfeit out of spite. That's pretty spaced. While the Emperor's spears leave jokes in the graves of their dead, Pedro Cantor carried a mother in his arms who was keeping up with them for quite a while. There are no purely good factions, just good characters with flaws within unique factions. Fair. My suggestion for that man: get the fuck away from Warhammer, you fucking tourist activist. Yep, yeah, no, you're right. Okay. On an unrelated note, I just checked and the Monster Hunter video he sent is only 38 minutes long. I don't know why I thought it was longer. Maybe, but lore, listening, watching.
Goal. The core of the Imperium is intact, shored up by its embattled military, but by now whole sectors have been cut off for hundreds of years and had to survive as best they can. Many of these areas continue to think of themselves or declare themselves as imperial, at least on the face of things, lest the warp storms calm and the hammer of the Emperor return. But how much lip service they actually pay to Terra and its institutions varies. The 10th edition setting opens with this: a divided galaxy with a few big human factions, and the implication that there are loads of small ones.
My bad, I know.
The biggest of these, by far, is still the Imperium, struggling to hold what it can together. As Lord Commander of the Imperium, Guilliman's tendency is for unity at any cost, but even he realizes that, for now, with chaos at the gate, alliance might have to replace conquest. This opens the way for all sorts of new stories. What about an area that was taken over by the Helots of a destroyed Astartes chapter? An industrial zone completely run by mercantile contracts? Human empires allied to the Tau or in league with other Xenos? Areas cut off from the Mechanicum, but who seem to be doing...
Yeah, let's not forget that the Tau had an existential crisis because they met a what was it, 2,000-year-old Primarch, was it? And, you know, they had a history of, like, what, 200 years or shit? Or some shit like that? And they had a existential crisis. Let's not forget that. And it already existed, you basic bitch. Dreadnought. Yeah, right, Dreadnought. Thank you very much.
Find developing their own technologies.
Primarchs are the... Ah, fuck. Those are the very gene seeds guy. They give out right, sorry. The gene seeds are based on them for their respective factions. I forgot. I'm not good with names. Never claimed I was.
Petty kingdoms, freedom fighters, new republics. Some of them fall without the support of the Imperium, just as the Imperium always said, but loads of them do just fine. Suddenly, the great lie of the Imperium is exposed. Maybe it isn't the only way.
This completely betrays a lack of understanding of the Imperium in general.
Yeah,
As I
it
explored
does.
in the video The Imperium Are the Good Guys of 40k, the Imperium of Men was the only choice and a justified response to many failed attempts to live all well together.
Also, an all-seeing, godly being called the Emperor of Humanity saw a single way out. You think some fucking mortals can see a better way out with more people saved? Sure. Yeah. Fine. Let's not get into the collective pants shitting that the Tau had when they realized that Titans were very real and not propaganda! You're not good with women either, Mumi? I never claimed I was!
With aliens, with mutants, with psychers, and then with the warp itself. He even has the courage of using the Interrex as an example of an empire that existed during the Great Crusade that was faring pretty decently, until the Imperium found them and forcibly annexed them, even if they mostly wiped them out. A little reminder, this was the same fucking period of the Rangdan genocides and the Ullanor Crusade against the biggest orc empire to ever exist in the galaxy. So even if we don't count chaos, something these people were 100% ignorant about, and that would have wiped them out, the orcs or the Rangdans would have reached them at some point. And if even the Imperium with its hundreds of thousands of space marines deployed, because there were over 300,000 deployed in the Rangdan genocides, together with 3 Primarchs, almost lost, what the fuck would these people even hope to do? Following the siege of Ghana, the war went on for more than 2 decades.
Plus, we all know that every religious thing exists in Immaterium, even Tau, who have weak connection to it, creating greater good as their own god. So, on Warhammer terms, religion good. Exactly. Earth cased engineer, where are those mountains moving?
Millions upon millions of deaths were suffered by the Imperium. 19 inhabited systems lay to waste, and a ban on further expedition past the exclusive post of Endris and Morox was put in place. During the war, contingents of 9 separate legions would become embroiled in the fighting, more than 300,000 space marines being deployed at the height of the conflict, with 3 Primarchs that led their own legions in battle against the Rangda, with the main honor to being the foremost commander of the Second Rangdan War given to Lionel Johnson of the Dark Angels.
Seemed like a desperate struggle for survival.
Even more than you might think, Pio. When the last expeditionary fleet had breached the eastern fringes of the galaxy, in doing so they had attracted the attention of the Rangdan Seraphors, a species of macabre power and technological might. It seemed that the Imperium was going to meet its end here. Entire expeditionary fleets went to their deaths without a single survivor. Worlds were laid to waste, dozens of Titan legions were obliterated by the end of the war, and it was even said that entire legions of space marines met their end there. Then the conflict was swept under the rug. All records of it sealed, with the last copies given to the Dark Angels for safekeeping. The veterans that have fought and survived the war either mind-wiped or eliminated altogether. The planets left barren by the Rangdan War and Taint were simply abandoned, and then the Remembrancers brought in to make up an half-fax, half-fiction tale of the Xenocides to feed the Imperium. Because the Emperor thought that the only way for the Imperium to rebuild after the second Xenocide was for the Rangda to vanish from all existence and history, and for humanity to never learn about how near their extinction they came from the war they had just fought. Forced alliance is the only way in the galaxy of 40k, because we either stand united or get annihilated. It is why seceding and betraying the Imperium is not allowed. Reason 1, power of the Imperium. Reason 2, humans can survive only when working together, so you either work with them or they will replace you with somebody that will. And
to be fair, without the, gene crafting, humans are inferior in body to every single other faction in Warhammer. Just on a average body basis, humans stand at the bottom. They are the weakest race in all of Warhammer, even if they awaken as psychers. Without gene crafting and, bioengineering, they are the weakest. They can push themselves up pretty big with Space Marines and shit. And that's why they stand tall anyway. No, Necron envy humans because of the body. isn't it more... I mean, they still stronger. Don't they envy the human body because they are machine? And yet they're still here, exactly, because they have something none of the others have. Reproduction. I mean, yeah, the Necrons can't reproduce, that's why they're slowly dying out, no? That's the whole thing about Necrons, they want their bodies back, technically, no?
All of this, all of the lies, the lack of context, the complete and utter ignorance on how the Imperium works and why, because once you learn the history of humanity as we did for the video on why the Imperium are the good guys, you see that they are pretty much justified in almost everything they did, because they tried an open-minded approach and were almost exterminated every time. He wants changes just because he can't fathom that the only way humanity can survive in 40k is by being as brutal as the enemies trying to kill them.
You have pirates, mercenaries, new states, and the evil old Imperium lurking in the background. You want the Imperium like it's always been? Great, you can still have them. This idea involves no retcons. But now there's other options too. Factions who are openly hostile or obviously doing better than the Imperium, but who don't get immediately portrayed as heretics and wiped out in the next paragraph. And because of that, it's impossible for anyone to say the Imperium is a necessary evil. The Imperium think that, but it was never necessary. And the tragic fact that it existed for 10,000 years in spite of that keeps the setting just as grimdark as ever.
There were even people under our video that commented that we have no proof that the Dark Age of technology humans were a lot more tolerant than the Imperium. In fact, we do have proof they were. The sheer existence of all the alien races of 40k is proof that they were a lot more tolerant. The Dark Age of technology had AIs controlling armies, and weapons so advanced they could have easily wiped out almost all aliens of the galaxy. The only ones they would have had a problem at the time destroying were the Eldars, because there were trillions of them, and they still had much of their very advanced technology to use, together with their psychic powers. And we all know how that ended. If you don't know the context as to why the Imperium became what it is, you really shouldn't fucking talk about it.
So your verdict on Arbitorian is?
His channel is a complete and utter mess. He is an ideology-driven individual that doesn't bring proof, lies about the lore all the time, and purposefully leaves out the context of everything that will make the Imperium seem justified in their actions and morally grey, just because it doesn't espouse his own ideology. And because he can't accept that the only real sin if you are fighting for the survival of your own species is losing. This guy a lore expert. What a joke.
This guy a lore expert. Fuck it. I send it through kick. What? Hold on. Plus, we all know if you paint your car red, it will move faster. No, Necron envy humans because of their body, and yet they're still here. What? The Necrons envy them because they were tricked into sacrificing their flesh. Yeah, like, that attitude, you are the weakest race in the entire universe. Yeah, and... Blank souls. What about blank souls? Also, most of their souls got eaten by the Catan. So he's gay. Derogatory. Ian, just fuck off and ruin Trench Crusade. That setting was dying even before it could really get started yet. Damn. Hello, hey. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Now we move to Eons of Battle. And before you leave a comment telling me that he's a channel that mainly makes tutorials on mini painting, we were sent several of his videos to watch for Lore Destroyers, where he made comments and explained lore in between painting tips. So, if you don't want to attract the eye of the Italians, don't explain lore you don't know. And especially, don't fucking lie so much about it.
What are we? Lore boogeyman now? If you say wrong lore 3 times in the mirror, Pontius appears to hit you with a frying pan.
The first video of Eons of Battle we watched was his video building and discussing female space marines. Problem? And we start directly from the intro with the bullshit.
Female space marines, let's do it. I want to talk about the controversy, the phenomenon, the absolute meme that girl space marines are. I want to build some female space marines for myself, and I want to talk about my...
Stay at the painting.
Solution if Games Workshop ever wants to add lady space marines into the lore. It's a lot easier than you think.
We're always lying. Oh my my god. Stop fucking lying!
And then we move to one of the funniest moments we ever had on the Lord Destroyer series. First of all, Eons of Battle claims that the creation process of Space Marines is literal magic.
So what are the arguments against female Space Marines? Because there's a few I keep hearing. I would say the big one is it's impossible for women to receive the gene seed and be turned into Space Marines.
Exactly.
So, putting aside the fact that the Space Marine...
Not exactly impossible. If the Emperor were still here, he could probably do it. The problem with that, however, is... he's kind of not there. And if you're saying, well, we can just, edit the gene seed to work on women as well. They barely made it more functionable than before. You really think that's gonna work? Oh my god. They think reinventing a gene seed is easier than upgrading something that already exists. Holy fuck.
creation process is pure magic. I have read every single Space Marine Codex ever published, and nowhere...
I can't send it on Kick. I need to have an account at least for 1 month. What the hell is that? It's a preemptive measure against bots. Because if the bot account was created yesterday, it doesn't work. It can't send no shit in my chat. And that's why, that's why it's there. Oh my god.
Where does it actually say it's impossible to give the gene seed to women?
Sorry about
only that it's only been given to men.
Which pushes me to ask, Eons, what did you smoke that day? Were you high? The fact that it is sci-fi made up science doesn't make it magic. It makes it still sci-fi fucking science.
Yeah.
Once again, if you want to learn how the creation process of a Space Marine work, we made a video about it, with sources mentioned, and not fucking once we used the word magic in it.
Yeah.
What he said is misleading for what he says right after.
I have read every single Space Marine Codex ever published, and nowhere does it actually say it's impossible to give the gene seed to women. Only that it's only been given to men.
Oh yeah, I actually trust that he has read all the codexes, and he's saying the full truth about it, especially when he claims that nowhere it is said that gene seed can't be given to women. He just missed. The Horus Heresy Book 1 Betrayal, page 28.
The process of initiation. A Space Marine of the Legion is Astartes is transformed from mere human frailty by a threefold process of genetic manipulation, surgical augmentation, and psycho-conditioning that in ideal circumstances takes place over a number of years over the course of the individual's adolescence. That the process is conducted while the subject body is undergoing maturation represents the highest chance of survivability and the lowest chance of tissue rejection, and although at least partial enhancement with adult subjects is possible, it is extremely dangerous and often unpredictable in results. The process by which Space Marines are created relies inherently on the hormonal and biological makeup of the human male, meaning that only males can be subjected to the transformation. In practice, only a small percentage of potential candidates will for one reason or another be regarded as suitable, either because of genetic, environmental, or psychological factors. The resultant Space Marine is in many ways no longer functionally human, but in others massively advantaged in terms of physical strength, durability and reflexes over even the most physically adept, unaugmented human warrior. Their bodies are also phenomenally efficient biological engines, resistant to disease, contamination, radiation, and poison.
Description that is mirrored on the Codex of the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness 2nd edition rulebook at page 31, almost word for word, a codex that came out a year before this video was released.
The process of initiation. A Space Marine is transformed from mere human frailty by a threefold process of genetic manipulation, surgical augmentation, and psycho-conditioning that ideally takes place over several years during the individual's adolescence. That the process is conducted while the body is undergoing maturation presents the highest chance of survivability and the lowest chance of tissue rejection. And although partial enhancements of adult subjects is possible, it is extremely dangerous. The process by which Space Marines are created relies inherently on the hormonal and biological makeup of the human male, meaning that only males can be subjected to the transformation. In practice, only a small percentage of potential candidates will for one reason or another be regarded as suitable because of genetic, environmental, or psychological factors, and even amongst these, many do not survive the process.
Unfortunately, this description wasn't carried to the latest Horus Heresy 3.0 rulebook, and trust me when I say it, everyone was angry about it. But funnily enough, even in the book of the tabletop RPG Death Watch, specifically the core rulebook, at page 28 we once again get confirmation that Space Marines can only be male.
Gender and appearance. Due to the special nature of the zygotes that make up a Space Marine's gene seed, all Space Marines are male.
I have read every single Space Marine Codex ever published, and nowhere does it actually say it's impossible to give the gene seed to women. Only that it's only been given to men.
So that was a fucking lie.
And we will obviously ignore the numerous mentions to Space Marines being men, having always male pronouns,
In that case,
being
you can't
always
send it
called
at all. You can
sons.
send it to the Discord. Send it to Discord. I could read Discord. And hold on, I missed some of the fucking chats. Just a quick second. Then why? My only guess is that they are adding. Oh shit. Adding woman to lore for the sake of telling women can do the same men can do. Yet the continued dismissal of the unique traditions of the sororitas, which is an even more misogynistic argument in my eyes. At least they aren't asking for retcon of the emperor being empress. Oh god, people would fucking riot over that.
Fucking everywhere. Even the Emperor saying,
he is. You can look at his face to understand that it is. At least they aren't asking for a retcon. Yeah. No, we have impressive female warriors even outside of the Sisters of Silence and Sisters of Battle. Hang on, let me get the name of the factions from Necromunda relevant to this. So literally like which transformation? I mean, kinda. House Escher, literally an army of insane punk women used by the noble house of Escher under a gang of the same name. Goddamn.
They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give themselves to me. Like clay, I shall mold them, and in the...
Hold on. Oh, damn. That looks pretty cool. Oh, hold on. There we go. These are the punk women? Pretty cool, pretty cool.
The furnace of war forge them.
Mummy's brain is melting if he had one or found one before he got mummified. God damn it. Fuck you. Speaking of weakness of men race, do you know who Cool Exes is? If not, ask Iron about it. It's basically human-only cheat code. Oh.
because obviously all those
What is it about, Iron?
references are not important. So yes, another bullshit claim. Let's continue, Ians. He then mentions the quote from Malkador about making some of the Primarchs female, quote that is also discussed in our female Space Marines video.
And sure, you could say that because it's only been given to men, it's impossible to put it in women, but allow me to quote the lore. A quote from my man, Malkador the Sigillite.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I?
Malkador smiled. You brothers, such a nest of rivalries. I warned him, the Emperor, to make you sisters, that it would make things more civilized. He thought I was joking. I wasn't. If the Emperor's BFF and the smartest human to ever exist in all of 40k says it would have been possible to create female Primarchs, then certainly it is possible to create female Space Marines.
But fails to see that the Emperor thought the idea was so stupid that he thought a smart person like Malkador was just joking, and pretty much laughed in his face, because he knew the risks of giving women to the Space Marines. The Demonculaba is a thing, Eons. You should read the books. He then tries to justify the introduction into the lore of female Space Marines, saying that first thing, they don't break the lore. Which, fucking news, they do! They ruined 35 plus years of established lore, but then try to justify it by saying that Space Marines are people with emotions? I am not joking. Watch.
So moving on to argument number 2, some might claim that sure, it's not necessarily impossible for female Space Marines to exist, but it would destroy 35 years of established lore. Well, to that I would say, no it doesn't.
Yes it
Sure,
do.
Space Marines are a brotherhood, but not really.
What?
In the codexes, Space Marines are described as psycho-indoctrinated super soldiers who know nothing but warfare. But when you crack open any 40k novel, you find out Space Marines are just people with their own thoughts, feelings, and opinions on things. The Horus Heresy series is a 50-novel epic about Space Marines having a lot more humanity and free will than the Emperor planned for.
And it got, you know, and it fucked everything up! Oh god, what the fuck? I physically cringed even in editing. Don't say that. They will say that the Emperor is gay. It's gonna come. It's coming, bro. Looks interesting. According to first Warhammer wiki page that I found, they hate men. Fair enough. You have never interacted with a woman. Then my dumbass friend. Women are even crueler to each other.
Humanity, not man-nanity.
That's not an argument.
Removing that what he just said is pure bullshit. Again, watch our videos to learn why in detail. But this entire argument is, they won't change anything because Space Marines are more human than you might think. Yeah, I don't think them having emotion justifies the retcon of 35 years of established lore eons.
It doesn't.
What the fuck are you even trying to say? He then again gets to discounting the Adeptus Sororitas in general as a faction as just the woman in power armor, completely ignoring their entire nuances, orders, suborders, and all the lore that goes in it. Pretty much doing a sexism.
It's that female Space Marines actually already exist, and it's the Sisters of Battle, so you should just collect that. And I would say that's a bad argument.
Why?
Space Marines are incredibly diverse with a huge variety of modeling opportunities. Your Space Marines can be Vikings, they can be medieval knights, they can be ninjas, they can be blue, they can be vampires. Where if you want to collect a Sisters of Battle army, unless you want to kit bash and convert 90% of your miniatures, they're going to be corseted ecclesiastical babes with bob cuts. And I can totally understand somebody saying that they want women in their armies, but not that.
And then at the end we get one of the stupidest claims I've ever heard in my life as a lore master. That it shouldn't be the Imperium that makes female Space Marines, but Chaos, and specifically Fabius Bile.
My ladies are not officially canon the way that
I'm sorry, hold on. Wait. I'm sorry, but the only way for Chaos to have female Space Marines is by bioengineering a completely new gene seed, or by corrupting already existing female Space Marines. Which will not work, because they don't exist. Alright, dilemma. How do I know more about the lore than he does? How am I more into it than... What the fuck is happening? Hold on. And he shows only one chapter of Sisters of Battle. Okay, exactly.
I've made them more just a fun novelty. And you know what? I don't think Games Workshop should just shoehorn women into the Astartes randomly after 35 years.
God.
It'd feel too easy and not give this achievement the prominence it deserves.
Achievement,
I think there's a better way, a spikier way, a more chaotic way. And that way is Fabulous Bill, Fabius Bile, the Primogenitor, the Clone Lord.
Why
He's been
would
hard
he
at
do
work for
that?
10,000 years trying to create his own superior Space Marines, and one day he will do it. And how can Games Workshop prove that his Space Marines are better than the original Space Marines? By allowing men and women, twice the recruitment pool. His super people will...
Except that only applies for the first generation or second. Yay. Just nope to this person's idea. Oh my god, it is through the clone father, yes. Alright, looks like Aaron is busy with something else. I'll tell you about Calexis then. It is really interesting. Is it on Discord? I did see something on... No, it's not. It's not. Oh. Okay. I hate tourists. Me too.
would swarm across the galaxy and bring the Imperium of Mankind to its knees.
The guy that called the Space Marines as a species a genetical dead end, and decided to make his own personal species of enhanced humans called the New Men. And then he goes on to the very stupid argument that this will show how Chaos Marines are superior, because they allow men and women in them. Completely fucking ignoring the fact that the recruitment pool argument is utter horseshit. Because the recruitment problem was never tied to the recruits themselves, but the gene seed. I can bring out examples just from the top of my head about Chaos Marines raiding Imperial War worlds just to steal Genseed to make more Chaos Marines. Because there is so corrupted and Genseed so scarce they can't use it. The second Battle of Hydra Cordatus between the Imperial Fist and the Iron Warriors happened because the Iron Warriors wanted to raid the Genseed vaults of the Imperial Fists. Raid that would be successful and create the storyline that led to the Demonculaba. And if we want to be specific, Fabius Bile created a perfect clone of Fulgrim, that when he was captured by Trazyn the Infinite, he sold to Trazyn as a collector item in exchange for his own freedom and a shit ton of Emperor's Children untainted Genseed. So yeah, I call bullshit on this entire argument too. But it isn't the only video of Eons we had to watch. The second video we had to watch of Eons of Battle was his video Female Custodes, Games Workshop Goes Too Far, which I will specify now. It's a sarcastic title. He agrees with probably the worst retcon done to 40k in the last 2 decades. So, let's see what he says in this one.
Custodes can now be women.
No.
And the internet goes wild.
Well, of course.
I think that this is a welcome change. Sense. There's no actual reason why the Custodes have all—
There is a ton of reasons, actually. It doesn't make sense. Holy shit, these people only want to consume, they want to buy more figures. Holy shit, they're the reason why scalpers exist? Because they would buy the scalper shit. Oh, man. The new men he made hunt more in packs and use Xenos DNA in them. They're not even as strong as Space Marines. Yeah. Consume! Exactly. Like, what the fuck? I just realized this is just consumer brain.
Always been men, they just always have been.
He doesn't want quality. And no, I am not saying male equals quality. I'm saying accuracy to the lore equals quality and accuracy to the world building equals quality instead. Because they made that lore back then. They can't just change one of the biggest lore pieces just like that. Yes, the lore got made because the female figures didn't sell. Whatever. Who cares? That is the lore 35 years later. Also, why are they all male feminists? God damn it. Basically every human or any other race's soul have a reflection in warp like a star, some brighter like Psychers, some dimmer like Tau, who have somewhat warp's resonance, and there is a special one. The blanks. I know about blanks. I know that blanks are like non-interferable by the demons from the warp. Psychers often are the target of demons from the warp because their flame in the warp as the psychic energy thing. You know, I know about that. I know about that.
And he lies from the start. There is claims and written lore that Custodes are only men. In fact, they were always only recruited, as the codexes will tell you, from the sons of the highest nobles of Terra. If you want more details, you find more breakdowns of it in these 2 videos. He then goes on to repeat some of the stupid arguments we already dismantled in the last video, so we won't repeat them, until he mentions that it makes sense that custodians exist for 2 reasons, and I still can't wrap my head around the argument he was trying to make here.
But I do think it makes a lot of sense that women can be custodians, because actually the Custodes were made for 2 reasons. They were to be the personal army of the Emperor that could actually do anything the Emperor needed them to do.
Yeah.
And they were meant to be his personal friends, his companions. And so what's really interesting about the Custodes is they actually are aware.
Doesn't he have sons? You know, the Primarchs he calls sons. I thought, you know, if he wanted, yeah, that doesn't make sense. That is such a stupid fucking reason. What the why? What the why? That is so, oh my god.
Of the current state of the galaxy versus what it used to be. They each learned the entire history of mankind and the history of the galaxy. And so they can actually see the difference between modern 40k and the...
So much so that psychers that look at them go into suicidal rage in trying to kill the blank. Oh, really? The blanks are an aberration. Okay. Is that like you know, like I don't know what an aberration is. Hold on. Aberration. Departure from what is normal, usual, or expected, typical, and unwelcome one. Ah.
The golden age of humanity in the world of the 41st millennia.
Why does he try to justify stuff that can't happen by lore with arguments that have nothing to do with the lore?
Oh, but Pio, you have to understand. They make sense because the Emperor wanted female friends. Have you not seen his collection of fedoras in the Imperial Palace? The Emperor wasn't a galaxy-level conqueror that focused on uniting and strengthening humanity. He was just a redditor in a golden chair. And even then, bullshit on the claim that they were aware of the wider situation in the galaxy. During the Age of Apostasy, they were, by lore, so isolated they didn't know a civil war had started until 4 chapters of Space Marines were fighting the forces of the Ministorum directly on Terra. And even then, they had to be briefed by their chapter masters to even know what the fuck was happening and do something. He then tries to make an argument that the Custodians should kill the Emperor and just take over the Imperium. I don't know why. It comes out of nowhere.
It would honestly make a lot more sense, not just women Custodies, but it would make a lot more sense if the Custodies rebelled and took over the Imperium of Mankind. They totally could. 10,000 Custodies could rule the Imperium. I guess the reason they don't is I guess BIIIG tells them not to, but honestly, they'd probably be pretty good rulers. Like, in my personal headcanon of what the Emperor's actual plan was, if you've read
I think his mistaken headcanon for canon, which a lot of people nowadays do, which is very confusing, but still, this guy can't be fucking serious, can he? What incarnations is he talking about? Huh? Excuse me? They should just take over all of the Imperium. 10,000 of them. Because every other chapter doesn't have the numbers to fuck over 10,000 of them. Yeah, 10,000 is a very, very scary number for Custodies. Custodies are incredibly powerful. And a single Custodies could probably take on tens, if not hundreds, of Space Marines. But, you said in the Discord, read it, please. All right. So most of the blanks are part of the special temple of Officio Assassinorum, called Calix's Temple. They are Psyker hunters who can melt Psyker's brain on the spot. Oh. Bro, what? Oh my god, Blank says baby just from their innate aura of anti-psychic energy as a baby can make their mothers try and smother them in their cribs. That's horrifying. The Emperor made the woman to be his friends. Has got to be the most silliest thing I've heard from this person, or any person ever. Are you serious? Mandatory, close the fucking tabs, you psychopath! No. No, I need most of the YouTube tabs I need to get the link because I don't want to open up a new tab and then I close them. So, you know, fuck you. Fuck it. I said it on this. Hell yeah.
Horus Heresy novels.
By the way, did you ever hear about Assassins of Imperium? I hear of some of the Assassin, but I don't know if they're from the Imperium. So, you know.
It's pretty unclear, but I do think that the creation of the Primarchs and the Space Marine chapters, or Space Marine legions, was to conquer the galaxy while the Emperor created the Webway portal. And then once he had completed the Webway, and faster than light travel was not only convenient but instantaneous, I do think he planned on using his Custodies to murder all of the Primarchs and Space Marines, and then just rule the Imperium by themselves.
He then goes on to say that people are angry about the retcon of female Custodians because they are just looking for something to be angry about. And they are happy of it.
People are mad about women Custodies. And it kind of makes me wonder. I do think a lot of the outrage is people enjoying themselves, because few things are as fun as complaining. Oh, and when you get a great opportunity to complain,
I think you're having a lot more fun with falsifying information, ignoring information that disproves your headcanon, and, you know, all that stuff. I think you have a whole lot more fun with that, but okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, people saying their headcanons are true, even though most of them are very far off, is just incredibly delusional. Exhibit A being some fangirls' ships. I mean, yeah. But shipping something, I think ships aren't as bad as like importing your headcanon into like lore. Because ships is mostly hoping for a end, right?
It's so much fun. You get to be
Sorry. I touched my headset and there is a small wheel on there that makes the volume crank up incredibly, and I might have put the volume on max when it's normally on 30%, and the on off button, if you don't hold it but click it once, it just plays the video. I might have given myself some ear damage. It hurt. That is a fun thing. I don't know why they are so underused. For example, do you know about a Vindicare Temple, the most vanilla one? Where I can use your bitch tits for your shirt. Disagree. Shippers are the worst. I don't think so. I mean, some of them are weird, like people in My Hero Academia, where they're shipping children, right? Or making them gay, even though they're probably not. But yeah,
angry. You get to your heart rate gets to go up a little bit. Like, it can be really, really fun to let off steam and to complain.
Oh yeah. I for sure love getting higher blood pressure because an idiot retconned the lore with no tangible explanation, in a way that makes the existence of the Custodians as a faction something that is questionable because of their recruitment practices. He then goes on a minutes-long tirade explaining that maybe some people go too far getting angry about this, and then he tries to justify the existence of this retcon by saying that it is the task of the writer to create stuff for 40k, and we just have to either accept it or reject it.
It should be a dialogue, a conversation of where those lines are, but really, it's the author's role to come up with the thing, and then it's the audience's role to see it and then think whatever we want to think about it.
Completely ignoring the fact that it is still the task of the same fucking writer to make the stuff he writes make sense with the universe at large. Now, for once, I will lay down my arms for a second in appreciation of Eon's rare, extremely rare, honesty about something. Because until now, his lore knowledge does not mirror the claims he made about reading all Space Marine codexes and being an expert. But he pretty much admits that the claim that not only female custodians exist, but that they always existent is a blatant lie, which it is.
Now, the reason that there's lady custodies, I do think, is probably a little pandering, because there is a rumor that other authors have wanted to do lady custodies and they've been told no because the model line was all men currently. It would have been more interesting if they were given the yes so that they could write interesting stories.
No.
Where right now Games Workshop just did it, and hilariously, there's some guy at Games Workshop who's responding to people's comments, and let's come up with a name for this character. Let's call him Sean. So Sean over at Games Workshop, he's responding to people saying, since the first of the 10,000 were created, there have always been female custodians. That's a dirty, stinking lie.
Yep.
That is not true at all.
As in the codex has been written, the gene seed has only ever been given to... That's Space Marines, but still, to males. But the same would apply to custodies, because the process they go through, only ever males were selected. But yeah, whatever. Oh my god. It's terrible. Hold on, I missed some chats. God damn it. That's my VODs. Some people said that Mondo actually killed Chihiro in chapter 2 because he was in love with him and didn't want him to suffer because he was gay for Chihiro. Like, what? What? I don't know what you're talking about exactly. I don't know who Mondo is. Or Chihiro. And the most annoying part, it's always women who does the annoying ships, and it's almost always gay ships. Exactly. I mean, just look at the toxic ass fuck psychos that tried forcing shipping Deku and Bakugo together and their tantrum when they didn't get what they wanted. No, I agree with that. That one was fucking weird. True, I was incredibly confused by that, and I think they have some unresolved issues. Vindicare Temple are the snipers who can kill enemy with incredible accuracy. For example, one of the assassins killed Lord of Chaos through 1 Terminator armor, 2 Land Riders, 3 Thunderhawks at the same time. God damn! That people arguing for the Femstodes didn't even bother to read the 3 fucking pages of lore on them. Few examples. Link and Levi, Aaron. Wow. What the fuck? Kirsche is the only living woman that I know who ships Levi with woman herself. Danganronpa Chapter 2, the crossdresser Chihiro. Oh, wait, isn't Mondo his killer? Isn't that his fucking killer? Why would they ship him with his killer? Oh no, it's women. No, I get it.
I hope you appreciate this compliment because it is probably the only one you will get.
Wait, they're shipping 2 people from the completely different worlds? Link and Levi Eren. Is Eren not from Attack on Titan? Levi? Is it the fish thing? Is it the red fish thing in that case? Because I saw some ships of that, and that was kind of weird. But I don't know much about Link, so I can't really judge.
As soon after he says that the
I forgot to put there.
fact that they exist now is not a problem.
Is it a problem that they're changing it now? No. But that's a dirty, like, JK just kidding Rowling lie. That is not true at all. Is that the opinion of Warhammer? Not really, it's kind of more the opinion of Sean.
When it is not true, and I will explain it with a very simple to understand scheme. Now, the Custodians recruit only from the most genetically pure Terran-born nobles, as I explained in the videos to why the female Custodians can't exist. The main expert and the one that came up with the process to create Custodians was the Emperor of Mankind, and under his supervision for their creation, the Custodians became known as the 10,000s in just 200 years.
No, Azora, I understood you, but I didn't understand John. I don't know who Levi Eren is from, you know, from like Link stuff. Link is usually getting fucked by men solely because of one mission from Breath of the Wilds, where he dresses as a woman because of the woman town. Is that it? Is that all it takes? Wow. And I know who Levi is from Attack on Titan. I know she has a body pillow of that. You don't gotta remind me, Azurhood. Levi and Eren being shipped together. Oh. God damn it. Oh, fuck. Now I get it. Oh. So, Link in general with men, and Levi and Eren from Attack. Okay, I get it. There is the MC of the story. No, I get it now. I thought Levi Eren was a character in Breath of the Wild or something. Okay, no, I get it now. So you know the joke of people saying that Big Raw BG is fucking that crazy Eldar bitch? No, I don't know. Oh, my favorite Eversword temple. I will send how they look in Discord. They are so badass. All right.
After his entombment, the end of the Horus Heresy, and the end of the war in the Webway, where less than 1,000 Custodians came back alive, it took them 10,000 years to replenish their number back to 10,000. Thing that was confirmed in the first book of Watchers of the Throne, The Emperor's Legion, where the protagonist claims that only recently the Custodians are back on full strength. And this was before the Battle of Lion's Gate, where the Custodians lost 2,000 of their numbers in that single defense on Terra. And this happened at the end of M41, keep in mind. Now, to explain why their existence doesn't make sense, you have to keep in mind a few small rules. The creation of custodians relies mainly, if not only, on the nobles of Terra. Now, Terra is an monopolis, with trillions of people on it. But don't be mistaken by that number. Nobility can't number in the billions on Terra. It is the same comparison that we can make between the real world and the number of billionaires. At the moment of the writing of this script in the world, there is 8.1 billion people. And yet, we have only 3,042 billionaires. It is a very small percentage of the population. So, with an EQ monopolis with at least a trillion people on Terra, best case scenario, we will be at around 400 or 500,000 nobles by comparison. But we are not talking about wealth, but nobility. Nobility, in the case of Terra, comes directly from the Terran-born nobles and leaders of the Unification Wars. Their sons were taken to make the first custodians, both as a sign of loyalty to the Emperor, but also as hostages against their own families. Because the threat pretty much was betray and send your own genetically modified super soldier of a son to end you. So, in this case, I want to give the benefit of the doubt and say that there could be 200,000 nobles of Terra. This is the highest statistical number I am willing to concede. So, we have an extremely small recruitment pool with the Custodes recruiting only from the nobles of Terra. And the children that are born in the nobles of Terra...
So you take 1% of the world, maybe less, I don't know, I'm not gonna go and do math right now. And of those 200,000 nobles, probably only 1% can make the cut again.
Obviously come from an arranged marriage between noble families between men and women. Now, it is renowned when it comes to empires at war, and in general when it comes to conflict both fictional and happening in the real world, that men are more expendable than women as a resource. Because at a parity of numbers, you need just 30% of males left in a community to be able to have genetic diversity while making pregnant every woman in that community. Because men can impregnate multiple women a day, and women can get pregnant only once every 9 months. So this means that shrinking the number of the male Terran-born nobles population, as long as you don't do it to the extreme, changes nothing for the reproduction of the nobles and the recruitment of the custodians. You take just some males from every family in the pool once per generation, and the ones born after from the males that are left will make up for it. Do it with enough strategy, you will still keep the number of nobles born compared to the ones that die during the augmentation process still in the net green. So the nobles' families grow, because again, very many children die when they are being augmented to try and make them into custodians. The process without the Emperor has an almost 100% death ratio. If by calculations only one every year becomes a custodian. But if we follow the claim made on Twitter by Games Workshop, that not only female custodians exist, but that they always existed, you are shrinking the entirety of the recruitment pool by using Terran-born noble women that once they become custodians, after thousands upon thousands of them die, can't give any children.
Also, statistically, it would be, you know, since you don't know what the process is for femme custodies, right? It would take you a lot longer to figure out how to make the first one ever. It would also be an inferior product, and also the death rate would be far higher because you gotta figure out how to do it first. And you can't use the exact same process. You gotta, you know, it's weird. It's, man.
To the nobles. Shrinking the number of males with moderation doesn't give any kind of problems to the recruitment pool. Doing it to women inevitably leads you not only in the red, but over a long span of time, leads the nobles and the entirety of the recruitment pool to extinction. And by my calculations, that would happen in around 500 years. So, this retcon actively makes the existence of custodians in general unbelievable. It has been 10,000 years that they have been using both men and women. By M32, the custodians shouldn't have been a thing anymore. And it was the job of the writer to fix this problem in some way. If he couldn't, he shouldn't have made the fucking retcon. Does this show you that their existence is a big problem? Hope so. Tangent over. Let's go back to the video. And then he shows probably one of the worst mindsets to have. I kid you not. He says that a good reason to have female custodians in the setting is to set up romances between custodians.
But if two custodians were in love, that could be a really interesting way to have custodians do something wrong for a very understandable reason.
No.
So I do think it could lead to some really interesting storytelling. But yeah.
The custodians are all about... Aren't they all about a discipline? How the fuck... They're putting it on their advertising on Thanksgiving. God damn it. Basically, every Everson assassin is the, I don't know how to say, the human killing machine made by psychological torture and chemicals. Oh, the guys that have to go in a sleep pod. I know those guys. Ugh. Why? I was playing a game with a friend. She left. No, I'm back. Please just go to sleep.
It is hilarious the way Games Workshop is going about it, where they're like, we always plan this. Always. It was always supposed to be this way. It wasn't.
Now, removing that this will be heresy on any level. The Emperor didn't want superhumans reproducing. But is it just me, or does this sound extremely sexist? He then has the courage to call the people outraged at a politically motivated change that arrived in their own hobby just by activists complaining about inclusivity, a loud minority. When the loud minority was the people that wanted this stupid as fuck retcon.
And the way people are handling it. Mostly, nobody cares. But there's definitely a vocal minority of people losing their mind who are like, I'm done with Warhammer 40k, let's boycott the company, let's burn it all to the ground, hashtag not my Warhammer. I don't think this change actually changes anything.
And after endless minutes spent trying to justify this change saying that it doesn't matter, after I just showed you that it invalidates the Custodians as a faction at large, and trying to use the old retcons made to factions with almost no lore established as a good comparison, for a change made to a faction that by this point was established for almost a decade, with a bunch of lore written in stone, he then lies about the Warhammer is for everyone announcement, say that it was done because of the Spanish guy that showed up in the World War II German symbol, and signed himself as the Austrian painter at a 40k tournament, and won, because all other participants, weak as they were, refused to play him.
It kind of reminds me of back in the day when Games Workshop did their famous Warhammer is for everyone post, which was a little pandery, but I appreciated the sentiment because it did come right after that event where some jerk went to a convention wearing like an outfit that made everyone uncomfortable, and so everybody decided not to play him. And so Warhammer published a little article. One of the great powers of our hobby is its ability to bring people together in common cause.
What is the common cause? Space racism? They're so dangerous. They always in drop pod and they get their orders without any communication. Yet they get it loaded into their brains, right? Keep your degenerate fanfiction in your head, sickly green shirt boy. Hashtag find this dude with some functioning brain cells. I don't think you can.
Build bonds and friendships that cross divides. We believe in and support a community united by shared value of mutual kindness and respect.
That is not Warhammer. I'm sorry, but Warhammer's whole thing is space racism. If you don't go deep into the lore, that's all it is to the outside. It's just space racism. Like, it's, no, whatever. Whatever.
Our fantasy settings are grim and dark, but that is not a reflection of who we are or how we feel the real world should be. We will never accept nor condone any form of prejudice, hatred, or abuse in our company or the Warhammer hobby. We will continue to diversify the cast of characters we portray through miniatures, art, and storytelling so everyone can find the representation and heroes they can relate to. And if you feel the same way, whether and whoever...
A game for everyone is a game for no one. I stand to that. I do. That's why I respected when Kirsche says she hates Souls-likes. Fair. All right. You don't gotta like it. It hurts. But you don't gotta like it. I'm really happy I got Nasky to play Dark Souls 3 once again. But holy fuck, man. You said that exact line yesterday. I know! Fuck, I said it on Discord. That's okay. Oh my god, this dude is such a fucking sleaze, fucking tool bag.
Where you are, we're glad you are a part of the Warhammer community. If not, you will not be missed. It's just basically saying don't be a jerk. It's kind of really what that whole post boils down to, in very flowery language.
While that announcement was made in 2020 during the George Floyd riots, and everyone was angry about it because Games Workshop is a UK-based company. Why the fuck would they release this statement during that period of unrest in the US if not for pandering and showing support to the woke movement that was burning down cities? So, more lies in a single video. So, the torture we inflicted on ourselves with eons of battle is over. Mine and Pio's judgment on this guy, his models look extremely good. This guy can paint. If you want to learn how to paint, watch him. But when it comes to the lore he so much speaks about, for that, I will let my precise thoughts be expressed by Dark Viper AU.
What is wrong with you? Shut the fuck up!
Now we move to Major Kill. My opinion on Major Kill when it comes to the lore has not changed. He's not even a clown. He's the entire fucking circus. Keep in mind, I despise Major Kill personally, not only as a lore YouTuber. The guy has backstabbed Arch Warhammer. Now, your opinion on Arch might be good or bad. It really doesn't matter in this case. Much of the success of Major Kill is owed to Arch Warhammer. Backstabbing the guy that made you famous makes you a very shitty person to begin with. He then did the same to Wes Hammer, accusing him of copying his content and videos, in a very stupid way because both of them talk about the same exact lore owned by Games Workshop. What should Wes Hammer talk about to not copy other lore YouTubers? Major Kill got so much backlash because of that he had to delete the video, because even his own community was calling him out. The constant shilling of porn on his Patreon and even the recent shilling of peptides to his audience of children doesn't make me like him either.
And you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place.
And obviously the porn shilling. Thank you, Major Kill. Obviously the porn shilling couldn't be missed. It is a very shitty thing to do when you make videos that are open to be watched by children. We make jokes about it at best, but we will never dare to sponsor 18+ content on videos watched by children, Major Kill. Humor side, his entire humor is based on being the most stereotypical Australian you can think. It would be like me and Pio basing our entire brand of humor on being Italian Americans. Pio, you missed the ball. We have to make a new video.
Danny, you gabagool. I'm busy taking over Brazil. Forget about the new video.
The fucking car.
To put it simply, he's not fucking funny.
Just a heads up, if you don't understand what they say in the sketch, remember that this video have subtitles. It's okay. I understand. I understand them. It's just that I understand why Overkill is a shitty person, but you know, I don't know who he stabbed in the back, but making like, oh, this guy is copying me kind of videos is kind of trashy. If it was someone who was into Warhammer and then a company pre-painted the miniatures to have a trans flag or a rainbow flag, I'm dremeling that crap off. Even though I don't know, they come non-painted, goddamn. Understand everything that Italian is saying. Yup, me too. It's not that difficult.
If anything, all the videos we have watched of him for Lore Destroyers, other than being grossly inaccurate on the lore, have in more than one occasion made us uncomfortable.
What is a little funny? No, the skit he just did? That was funny as fuck. The fucking... you made the ball! That was funny.
Comfortable because of two sexual jokes or even jokes about diseases. So, the guy is a serial backstabber that has backstabbed two of his own friends without remorse. He's not funny. If anything, he's the worst kind of comedian, an unfunny one. But what about his lore? His lore is a fucking joke. We have watched at least a dozen of his videos for Lore Destroyers, and some had from small to giant mistakes in them. Removing that we watched his lore battle against Wes Hammer hosted by Baldemort. Only critique to Baldemort we made for the video is that the questions were a bit badly structured. And removing the amount of compliments and praises he did to Wes Hammer, this before the backstabbing, really go and watch it knowing that he will call out Wes Hammer as copying his content not long after. But I have the suspicion that for the entirety of the video, he was cheating the answers to the lore questions that were being asked. He kept looking every time the camera was on him in the same exact spot, as if he was reading the answers because Baldemort was on speaker. We have no guarantee that Major Kill was alone, so it is my suspicion that in that video he was cheating during a lore contest. A guy that considers himself a lore expert. Do you want to see how much this guy sucks at the lore? Because I have the perfect example, and it is once again a video about the female custodians retcon. The video is called Female Custodians are now 100% canon. What does this mean for Warhammer 40k? It specifically goes over, during the video, the story of the first of the 3 custodians mentioned in the codex, Calladei is Tarovalia Cash. Now, me and Pio read all the female custodians lore for a Lord Destroyers video. We laughed our asses off for how stupid it was, but still, looking for proof, Lord Destroyers episode 6. The story of Tarovalia Cash is literally 2 pages long. Major Kill, in his explanation, gets the ending of it completely fucking wrong. It is bewildering that for a 20 minutes video, a lore YouTuber didn't bother to read the 2 fucking pages of lore.
However, a squad of custodians teleported on board her ship and captured her, ending her blood game. It turns out that one of the crew members was nervous about the female custodian's plan and seemingly betrayal, so alerted the Imperial Palace. In turn, Kesh ordered the man to be turned into a servitor and the entire crew to be punished. She wanted a crew that trusted her completely and committed to her orders without hesitation, no matter what they were.
No, wait. You are showing the lore on screen. Did he just fucking fuck up retelling the lore that is on screen?
Damn.
Let's see.
He had it in front of him.
Yeah, let me hear what he said.
Board her ship and captured her, ending her blood game. It turns out that one of the crew members was nervous about the female custodian's plan and seemingly betrayal, so alerted the Imperial Palace. In turn, Kesh ordered the man to be turned into a servitor and the entire crew to be punished. She wanted a crew that trusted her completely and committed to her orders without hesitation.
That's literally that's literally the opposite of the story. He's literally saying the opposite of the story.
Damn.
I can understand it is shitty lore, but it is 2 fucking pages, Major Kill. You have them here. You are showing them. What the fuck?
Yeah, the captain got servitorized, not the one that betrayed.
The captain got servitorized, the entire crew got punished and then was allowed to go back into service, which punished in this case, would have been probably being tortured alive. But
I love how he goes full Italian rage and just rants and curses in his native tongue. To be fair, it is kind of funny.
The woman that actually denounced there to the custodians and the Imperial Palace was promoted to be the captain. He literally said the opposite because she wanted a crew that followed her orders blindly. Even at the end, she says that the fact that they were following her orders blindly was what made them get punished. And she actually gave a reward to the one that didn't, just for reference.
Damn.
Christ. Major Kill, I can understand that you have, no kind of fucking commitment to the lore with 700k subscribers. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and people will believe you, because rule of numbers. But for real, you couldn't be bothered to read the 2 fucking pages. We are at that level now. Julio, do the honors. Show the true lore to the viewers and Major Kill.
Officer of BIIIG, Siwa Batur, make yourself known, he commanded. Unable to stop her treacherous body from shaking, jaw clenched tight, the officer with the ocular teether rose to her feet and gave an Aquila salute. Officer Batur here believed it appropriate to ignore your request for absolute secrecy. She dispatched a coded distress call amidst her standard data missives and we detected it. Shipmaster Lethwick choked in outrage. But before he could berate his rebellious officer, the shield captain pointed a finger at the man, menacing him to silence. There are those who will call such disobedience to a custodian heresy, said Cash slowly. And yet in this instance, unthinking capitulation risked infinitely greater evil. Recommendations? Asked Nicodemus. This crew has been found wanting, replied Cash. A sword that turns willingly upon its master offers no protection. But examples can be instructive. We shall hand the shipmaster over to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Let them make a servitor of him, if he wishes to serve so unthinkingly. Excoriation for the crew. Then let them return with punitive status to their battle fleet, that they might spread the word of vigilance. As for Officer Batur, one hopes that she will captain this vessel in the future with the same courage and clarity of faith she has shown this day. This defense of the Golden Throne requires no less.
So, we have an unfunny and generally completely morally bankrupt person trying to be a lore YouTuber. What
else can go wrong? How do you manage to fuck it up so bad that you get it the exact opposite of what is written on a page? I don't know! I can hear the... Me too. Oh my god.
making minor and major mistakes in every single video of lore he ever made. And trust me, we watch him constantly for lore destroyers. Some of his edits even ended up in the last video we released, which was a best-of of the first 4 episodes of lore destroyers. Trying to be a lore YouTuber and expert while not even bothering to read the 2 pages of shitty lore that even we, that can't stand it, took the time to read just to be sure to be precise when we demolished it. Why the fuck are people even following this guy?
I don't know.
This
you tell
one
me.
is another technically not lore YouTuber, but that tends to speak and lie a bit too much about the lore for my taste, and it is none other than Goobertown Hobbies. And before we get into the single video we were sent of him, there is a little trivia story to tell. Goobertown Hobbies was already featured on our channel, in the final section of the Female Space Marines video. In fact, we brought up one of his tweets while we were making an entire expose for the motivations of the activists trying to change the hobby. What many people don't know is that he answered under the video. He was the only one to do so, in fact, on the video directly. And to say he ended up being badly burned would be an understatement. Giulio, please read this comment.
Question. Is Goobertown a tourist who doesn't know what they're talking about? Or are they a person who has painted thousands of Warhammer models since the 1990s? It's not possible to be both. On the topic of the video, no girls allowed will always be deeply, deeply stupid. It does make sense for some chapters to be filled with dogmatic no girls allowed types because variety is good. But there is no reason for all of the chapters to be pathetic no girls allowed losers. Squinky face.
Removing that this is an appeal to seniority, because the guy might be painting from 30 plus years, but he showed even in this comment how much he doesn't fucking know about the lore. The chapters don't.
To me, this doesn't seem like doesn't know. This more seems like malicious ignorance? Purposeful malicious ignorance? He knows but ignores it on purpose to push something through. That's what it feels like.
Have a choice on who they recruit. They can recruit only males by established lore. But obviously, I didn't leave this comment alone. I gave it my answer. Oh hey, Goobertown. Finally, one of the people I shame directly shows. Shame it is you because you are one of the least interesting. But when has that stopped me from showing some truth to the people, huh? First, Goobertown, you do not know what you are talking about. It is not even a real question to ask. Just by your taking the tweet, and trust me, far from the only one I've ever been shown from you that is laughable, or even you're taking this comment, you show yourself that you know almost nothing of what you're talking about. Second, it is not
from the
stupid.
1990s. Yet he's still a tourist. True. Yup.
It is established lore on how the production of superhuman soldiers works in the 40k universe. Something you might not like or complain about. Doesn't make it stupid. It makes you angry to be wrong. And it is not a matter of chapter. As I explained in the video that I'm sure you didn't bother to watch. Because why would a 250k YouTuber even show the most basic of respect to another content creator? It is a matter of lore of the universe, genetics of the universe, continuity of the universe, and traditions of the Astartes with the universe. It is not a choice the chapters can or will make. It is how things are in the traditionalist and hyper-conservative military society of the 31st millennium. You say variety is good. I say continuity of established lore is better. Third, yes, you were, are, and with that attitude will always be a tourist. You once again show you know nothing of the lore. So by this point I must believe that you do not care about what you paint.
Damn.
As long as people watch you for it. 40k fan? Nah, you are not something like that. And being a fan from the 1990s and still having this kind of take on 40k, mate, I will say it is laughable if you have been here this long. But undermining the 40k lore to this level, I will call outright pathetic if you are here from 35 years, or even 25. Hope that was helpful. Watch the video next time. Might show you some more lore to complain about in future tweets. Being a tourist is not a matter of how new you are in the hobby. It is a matter of mindset. You could be in the hobby from 30 plus years, like Goobertown, and still be a tourist. Because you do not care about the property you follow and aren't really passionate.
I am a Warhammer tourist. I am. I don't know much. I see some lore videos. I'm like, cool. Yeah, whatever. And I played a game. That's all I did. I didn't get too deep into it. I'm never gonna buy figurines or books. Never, probably. I'm not gonna get that deep into it. This is the deepest I've ever gotten anyway. But I don't think I'm more of a tourist than this guy, even though he probably painted like millions or just thousands of figures, which doesn't mean anything. Just because you... All right, let's make this into a term. Just because you've been a carpenter for 50 years and you made 1,000,000 chairs doesn't mean you're good at it automatically just because you put in the hours. It could still mean that all those chairs are fucking shit. You're a respectful tourist. Thank you, thank you. No, it could mean that it could be that all your chairs until now were all fucking garbage. That still makes you a very terrible carpenter, right? You never improved. That makes you a terrible fuck-ass carpenter. You can't call yourself master just because you know, did 50k stools that barely fucking stand upright. And I am a gun tourist. I think that is interesting, and I like watching and learning something about guns. I understand that I don't know shit, but it's still interesting for me. Yes, same! I just don't watch too much on it. I just watch, like, people shooting stuff. I think that's so much fun.
About it. Or you might not be a tourist while being here just 5 minutes. Because you do care about what happens to your favorite hobby. Being a newbie and a tourist are two different things. Newbies don't know but are curious to learn and understand. Tourists simply don't care. They're on this bandwagon because it is popular.
Yep.
And once it stops being popular, they will move to the next. And then...
When we're playing games wiser than me, I bought an entire army of Firstborn Black Templars as soon as I got enough money from working a grocery store. Goddamn.
And whatever happens to the...
Well, I mean, I wasn't better either with my first paycheck. My first paycheck was like, what? Yeah, some money, right? And I used it all on the first day, which, you know, I had to borrow money from my mom for that month to, you know, come by with food. I blew it on new headphones, a new phone case, a controller, loading station. Bro, I was buying shit. And then I had zero money left. On my first real paycheck, I built a new PC for myself. Hell yeah. You invested, unlike me.
Over to 40k. It is really that simple of a distinction. But this, obviously, is not the end. We watched, once again, a video we were sent for Lore Destroyers of Goobertown. And I will just say, as I have proved more than once by this point, I can stand liars or fools. The video of Goobertown we watched was once again on the female custodies. In fact, it is named The Female Custodies and the Mental Health Benefits of Painting Miniatures.
Our patrons have a very advanced sense of humor. They keep sending us shit to watch.
Obviously, in the beginning of the video, we already have problems. He claims that the custodians are a very mysterious faction.
Alright, so at the time of recording, people have been excited about a lore update for the Adeptus Custodes from Warhammer 40k. They went from being a mysterious and presumably all-male faction of super soldier guardians to a mysterious and explicitly...
God damn! Games Workshop is ripping you guys off! I want to play Far Cry 3 with you. I'm actually open to that. We can do that sometime, but not today or anytime this week. We can... Hold on. Let's take this 2 DMs later. Maybe. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it works. Wait, no. Far Cry is a Ubisoft, right? I don't buy Ubisoft stuff anymore. I'm not... fuck. Sorry about that. It's a weird mix of I regret nothing and simultaneously, what have I done? Well, I just listened to You Haven't Done Nothing by Stevie Wonder, Fire by Ohio Players, Turn the Beat Around by Vicky Robinson, and Tanda Istanbul by Mayoshono. You can play Far Cry 3 in co-op? I don't know. But I'm not buying it because it's from Ubisoft and I have sworn myself not to buy their shit at all anymore. So yeah, sad, but you know, one of the best games ever, you know, in terms of story. I can't play. It is kind of sad. Torrent maybe, but even I don't know how that stands with streaming. Laughs evilly in getting 3D printer.
co-ed faction of Super Soldier Guardians.
A faction so mysterious they
I listened to those songs because of one troll who took their anime obsession too far. What do you mean by that? Also, Blood Dragon is good. I watched Kirsche play it a little bit. It had a minigun. That was something I looked at and was like, maybe I should play it. Yeah.
now got 3 codexes in a row for the last 3 editions that explain all their lore in detail. So yeah, not very mysterious for a mysterious faction. After a very long part of the video that seems more like a yoga training session than a painting tutorial, mind you, I appreciate what he says to some extent, as painting indeed does relax you when it comes to minis. Unless you are painting eyes, in that case it becomes a bit like being part of the bomb squad. But after around 10 minutes of the video, he claims that nerds on the internet are angry that the gender barrier of the Custodes was broken by including women.
Now every video is also a time capsule. It's a product of the era in which it was made. If you're watching this in 2030 and you're trying to understand the comments section, well, here's some context. At this moment in pop culture history, nerds on the internet are upset about the gender barrier being broken for the Custodes, one of the 20 different armies in Warhammer 40k.
I'm sorry, can I hate on the fact that he said Custodes? Can I hate on that fact?
Ain't never been no girls allowed, and ain't never gonna be no girls allowed.
Yes, people were angry about that. But because
there's literally Sisters of Battle and Sisters of Silence. I think I am gonna go to bed because you want me to, mommy. Yes, I want you to go to fucking bed. Go to sleep, man. Nerds are angry. Fuck you. By spamming there's anime banger. Anime is drug. What the fuck? It's one time to enjoy anime. It's another thing to take anime obsession too far. I agree. I hate obnoxious people as well. They're bad everywhere, honestly. Right now we're looking up at obnoxious people in Warhammer that are trying to change the lore actively. Because that's the only thing you can call it. They're falsifying lore on purpose. I will be here tomorrow. That's okay. Yeah, thank you. Painting eyes might as well be neurosurgery. Yes. Imagine people in 2030 was like, imagine people believed in this shit. He said, lol. I have encountered that in a previous stream. I mean, Monkey is just annoying, right? Monkey is just annoying. You can't take him serious. I know you did.
It is a politically motivated and unjustified retcon made literally for no one. Removing my argument of how extremely impossible with this retcon the existence canonically of the Custodians becomes. My main complaint about it is that we are ignoring great female factions and female characters just to give more attention to a feminized version of an only male faction. I want more lore on the Sisters of Silence. Fuck female Custodians. Give me books on the Silent Sisterhood. I find it more sexist to accept this as something good than critiquing it. Because you're pretty much accepting that the only way to make women interesting is by gender-bending men. If that is not sexist, I don't know what it is. And here then we see with this claim how much this guy cares about the lore.
Again, the progressive people being the most sexist. Who'd have thought?
The 30+ years old veteran tourist.
Some folks say that they're upset that the retcon was sloppy, and I do kind of agree with that. The lore update should have been paired with new models. I think that would have worked a whole lot better. Of course, by the time you watch this video, internet nerd rage may have shifted to something else. There's a whole industry of rage-bait YouTube channels aimed at nerds, and they always need fuel for the fire.
You can understand when someone understands a lot of the lore because they discount it for the models. He then goes on a tirade about internet getting angry at everything that people with original IPs change of the original IPs. Pretty much ignoring that people were angry because the change was pure tokenization. There was no reason to do it, but it was done all the same because of the message, where they keep butchering source material just for internet brownie points.
A diverse crew in Star Trek? Rage. Black Little Mermaid? Rage. Dark-skinned Aragorn on a Magic the Gathering card? Rage. Black Dwarven Princess?
Why is that? Because they changed something that already exists instead of making new stuff with that. Instead of being creative, they change stuff that is already established. That's where people get angry. Of course, there's some people who get angry at just the race. Those are weird. We can all agree on that. But most of the time, it's just because something that's already there got changed for no reason at all except my diversity. The message, it's always the message. Yeah. Evil can't create, only corrupt. Goobertown, you are the rage bait. God, I hate that term.
Black Hobbit in the same show? Rage. Princess Peach wearing pants for one scene of the Mario movie? Rage. Brie Larson and Daisy Ridley still exist? Rage, rage, rage. It's predictable and miserable and buffoonish.
He then has the balls to claim that the rage people have for unjustified and lore-shattering retcons that are happening everywhere, not only in 40k, don't understand the source material of 40k.
At the time of this recording, one of the armies in Warhammer 40k has gone co-ed, so the usual suspects have fired up their webcams. I find this brand of nerd rage to be tragic for a lot of reasons, one of which is that there's so little understanding for what the source material is all about. Of course Star Trek has a diverse cast. It's Star Trek. Humans have solved our problems and we're heading out into the galaxy to learn about new cultures. Lord of the Rings is all about inner strength, plus the power of friendship. Outward appearances don't matter, and that's the whole point. Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
There is enough treachery, hatred, violence, absurdity in the average human being to supply an army, any army, given army on any given day, and the best at murder are those who preach against it, and the best at hate are those who preach love, and the best at war, finally, are those who preach peace, those who preach God. Need God, those who preach peace do not have peace, those who preach peace do not have love. Charles Bukowski said it best. Wonder if he was talking about progressives. You know, you might, that do cut a little deep.
And Gimli becomes friends with Legolas, and he stops being such a horrible racist. And Star Wars.
He didn't. He became friend of Legolas. He still doesn't like elves. Never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. Still racist, but friendly racism. Exactly.
This is the big one. Luke Skywalker's entire journey is about learning emotional maturity. It's not an easy journey.
Bad fucking example, because he's a child killer. Murdered a bunch of children!
It takes 3 full movies and he stumbles along the way, but he gets there. Luke becomes a Jedi by confronting his fears while resisting.
Oh, fuck. Luke, not Anakin. Sorry, that's my fault. I heard the wrong name. My fault. I just heard the name again. You're thinking of Anakin? Yeah, I am. My fault! I pulled the trigger too fast. I shot first and asked questions. I did the American thing. Sorry about that. Sorry. I want to see progressives at the point in time when they will lose their ground because of their ignorance. Their fall from grace will be spectacular. I hope they'd see the light first. Everyone point and laugh. Fuck you.
The temptations of anger and hatred. The dark side is seductive, and once you start down that path, it consumes you. Rage bait videos for...
Again, but pure light will... darkness will follow. You need... Even in Star Wars, before it got retconned, it was very heavily emphasized that balance is what's needed, and not just the light, not just the dark. Not just Jedis, not just Sith. You know? Why is it suddenly not like that anymore? Anakin kind of had a habit of murdering kids. Dude thinks he's the light side. Technically, if you look at the people that are on the dark side, yeah, most of them are evil, selfish, and stuff like that. But the dark side itself doesn't necessarily need to be evil, right? There's people who can still retain, you know. Tell me, everyone on this stream, what is the mother of all sin? Well, depends on the person. Some would say weakness. Others would say arrogance. And again, others would say, ignorance. Personally, to me, right? This has nothing to do with facts, just my personal opinion. It's laziness. Sloth. Good intentions. To me, it's sloth. Because of personal experiences. As one or two of you might know. But yeah. Were you thinking of a correct answer, or was it just a question?
Nerds prey on the worst parts of human nature. They're fueled by grievance and hatred. This is literally the dark side of the Force, and living like a Sith is not healthy. Anakin became miserable and friendless. Anakin was more of an angry little boy at the end of Episode 3 than he ever was in Episode 1.
What was that Red Letter Media said?
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
At the end of the video then, he has the goal to call out all the people getting angry at lore being ruined for no reason at all as clowns.
You could play some video games. Some games are relaxing, and others are a good form of mental exercise. Other games are going to spike your adrenaline and make it harder to get to sleep. Another way to use your free time is to watch some angry clowns rant on the internet. That's fun and all, but if you're not careful, you'll end up taking on their burden. Through osmosis, their childish grievances may become your own, and you'll end your day with more worries than you started with.
Because the message of this entire video is, why getting angry? It doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, why the fuck did they do it, Goobertown? They could have chosen to not do it. Not ruin the lore of the Custodians. Not ruin my favorite faction ever for brownie points. But why do I even bother? This guy will never watch this entire video, let alone his own section of it. So I will be as direct and blunt as possible. Goobertown, to see through the false facade of peace and quiet you use in the videos, someone just needs to go to your Twitter and see what you post. You are not fooling anyone. This retcon for you doesn't change anything because it agrees with your own politics. Stick to the fucking painting and leave to the experts that talks about the lore. They don't change anything at the end of the day. I care about my hobby and its lore, and I will call out shitty retcons for what they are. I did it with the Primaris, I did it with the Custodians, I did it for the possible retcon of female Marines. I did it in this video for all the retcons of the Grey Knights, and I will keep doing it.
Based. Hold on. The mother of all sin is pride. I know better than you. I am allowed to do that. I'm right and you are wrong. Thinking that you are better than everyone. Basically that guy he's allowing from pride. Yeah, fair. But some of those sentences are a mix of things, right? It's pride, sloth, envy. You know, those are a lot of those sentences are mixes of different, you know, sins. You know. But yeah, no, I do agree. I do agree, Mad Chemist. I do. Yes, if it's nothing, why change? Exactly. I would play more games, but they try to get the boobs out of it, so why play? Exactly. In this one specifically, they're trying to get more boobs in it, but, you know, it doesn't really work like that. Future movie detractors are in for a treat when they find Moomy Sweeney.
Because I'm not a consumer. I care about my hobby. You care about minis. So stop talking about the lore you don't know and kindly shut the fuck up. And now we move to an old nemesis of mine. Templin Institute.
Oh no.
How are you doing, old friends? Thought you had escaped me years ago? Does the name Danny Fortuna tell you anything? Time for a reckoning. I will not spend much time on Templin, because really there is no need to do so. The guy is a clown and a coward in the best of days. We have watched 2 videos of his for Lore Destroyers, but as many people know, I have a past with Templin Institute from the time it announced on Twitter that it was producing the now infamous Female Space Marines video.
What about the Templin Institute?
I have passed with the Templin Institute, and what I can say is that the channel itself is just a repeat of the wiki of 40k, with all mistakes of the wiki left in it, to the levels of One Mind Syndicate, and especially the owner and host is a full-blown hypocrite. In his video about how female marines are possible, he says himself, as a lore channel, that lore doesn't matter, other than his full-blown arrogance in the video itself, where he calls whoever doesn't agree with him mindless automatons and bigots, while in the same breath asking for the debate to remain civil. The other channels I don't like personally because they get the lore wrong. I don't like Templin personally because he is at the same time as arrogant as he is a coward. As he backed down from his own challenge that he launched on Twitter about how he will destroy anybody that disagree with him about the fact that female Astartes can exist using lore. And when I myself, more than a year before this channel was created, stepped up to the challenge, he immediately backed out, because he didn't like the terms of the challenge itself, and then excused it with, I won't give a platform to a complete nobody.
You really dislike him more than other people.
Templin Institute is literally a channel of wiki reading with above average levels of editing. We watched this video on the Emperor of Mankind, and it was honestly laughable. It was literally little more...
I'll go and listen to Viva Tirado by Fifth Dimension. Let's Stay Together by Al Green. For the Love of Money by OJ's. Bye-bye, Mercury. Bye-bye. Yes, because pride is the root. Thinking that you are better will lead you to other deadly sins. Fair. I did say I do agree. Yeah, but yeah.
Than the information contained on the wiki repeated in the video itself. We made true research into the Emperor of Mankind. You can watch our video on it to know what true research into a topic looks like. The video even failed to acknowledge the place of birth of the Emperor, ancient Anatolia, which is the current day territory of Turkey. In fact, that clip even ended in the Lord Destroyer's best-of released before this video.
According to ancient texts, the being that would become the Emperor was born some 50,000 years ago in a long-forgotten region of Terra.
Turkey. It's not forgotten. It's forgotten in 40k, maybe. But...
Long forgot.
I'm sorry, Turkish fans. Turkey didn't survive in 40k.
We forgot about you.
And let's not even speak of his video on female space marines. The entire video is literally, if we ignore everything that says I am wrong, I am actually correct. He spends the video lying about the lore, because it is filled up with lies. Making up scenarios that were never real, like the Emperor in the progressive time of the Great Crusade making female space marines.
Today, if any still remain within the chapters, they are a rarity. Furthermore,
they're a rarity. Tell me one.
What? I'm not in a fucking call. What the fuck?
They're a fucking... Tell me one. A name. I want a name. Okay. A rarity. Explain to me where the fuck did you see a female marine? Where?
They are a very extreme rarity. We didn't see one.
They are a very extreme rarity. Do you see this marine in this random artwork with his helmet on? Yeah, this is one is female. The Great Crusade was anything but progressive. The Emperor was moving a galaxy-wide war against anything non-human. He couldn't give less of a fuck about progressivism. He also spends the entirety of the video insulting anybody that doesn't agree with his view, in fact.
So if you read the aforementioned quote and decided to accept it at face value, good for you. The Imperium is always in need of easily persuaded, uncritical souls to work as leech harvesters and mind thralls. But if you think the idea of female space marines just being a possibility, according to one interpretation, is some kind of betrayal, if this discussion has caused you to decide that the woke moralists over at the Temple Institute have finally gone too far, if even now you are furiously hitting the unsubscribe button, well, the tree of any YouTube channel must from time to time be nourished by the blood of misogynists, and as the saying goes, you will not be missed.
He's using the gist words.
As a lore expert, claims that maybe what deleted the female space marines from the history of the Imperium of Men was an ignorant decree of the Ministorum.
But at some point during the history of the Imperium, possibly because of complications with implanting gene seed,
As much
but
as
more
I want to
likely
stay, I
because
need
of
to go to sleep. Tomorrow I need to wake up early. See you in record when I'm gonna watch the rest of the stream. Bye-bye, Mad Chemist.
some
Bye-bye.
ignorant proclamation by the ecclesiarchy or another imperial institution, the idea of recruiting female space marines fell out of favor.
The Imperial Church, which is renowned to every single, even medium-level lore knower of 40k, has a fully fucking female army in the Sisters of Battle. But no, it is the Church. It must be sexist, so they were the ones that deleted them. And by the end of it, even with this, he has the courage to say, after having lied for an entire video on everything, after having made only comparisons that are nonsensical and outright stupid, after having shown that he considers himself smarter than 99% of the people in the hobby, if not 100%, because seeing the video, I think he is that arrogant, he arrives at the end, after spending the entire video saying that the lore doesn't matter and should be changed to be more inclusive, just to make happy the gene stealers that are always offended about fucking everything, calling everyone that doesn't agree with him a misogynist.
If even now you are furiously hitting the unsubscribe button, well, the tree of any YouTube channel must from time to time be nourished by the blood of misogynists, and as the saying goes, you will not be missed.
Yeah, that episode gave me an headache out of stupidity.
You are better off learning the lore out of the official wiki, not from this arrogant clown.
Keyword pride.
And now we move to Bricky. I couldn't have worse of an opinion on Bricky as a lore content creator as he stands now. He is literally a Games Workshop shill and a yes man. Do you guys know that he made a video on the retcon of the female custodians? And then he did, and it is currently viewable only if you have the link to it, because he made it unlisted. The link to it is still easily foundable on Reddit. Just look for the golden opinion. Funnily enough, I have nothing to say about this video, because he said the same exact stupid things that everyone else said. Why being angry? They changed nothing. Even if I show to you that they destroyed the faction from the beginning of the lore. That the lore of the Custodies included in the 10th edition with the retcon was actually pretty cool. When every single true lore master on the internet clocked that all of it didn't make any sense.
Sometimes, you know, Adric and that kind of thing. I don't actually bring this up with anyone. I never actually talk about Warhammer outside of this whole thing because, well, unless asked to, there's such a nasty vocal minority in that community that kind of calling myself a fan of it naturally brings in ire.
The minority you don't care about?
I'm very curious of this vocal minority. Let's hear about it, because recently the vocal minority has caused pretty much every single big production and product that has tried to not appeal to it in every way possible to crush and burn. But let's hear it.
From other folks. It's so embarrassing right now. It is genuinely embarrassing to be a fan of Warhammer and like looking on.
It is genuinely embarrassing to be a fan of Warhammer. Why the fuck do you talk about it? Go away. Who the fuck needs you, Bricky? To hear the shitty jokes of Adeptus Ridiculous? Who the fuck needs you, literally? There are people that break their asses off researching lore. For the next fucking video, I am reading an entire trilogy of Eisenhorn just for a single minor character for the first 2 books, which is Pontius Glow. I watched your fucking video with Lam about...
Today's bitches have a script that gets mentally embedded into their brains. No, it's just if you don't have arguments, you have to make them up. And if you are creatively bankrupt, you kind of come to the same conclusion as everyone else. You know? It's embarrassing to be part of your family tree.
The factions of the Imperium of Men, and every 5 seconds you said something that was wrong. Even in broad strokes, you said bullshit for the entire duration of the video. You confused the Great Crusade with the Unification Wars. No, the Catan cannot be killed. When the Necrons killed the Flayer, like 5 minutes apart. Nobody needs you. If you are ashamed of being a 40k fan, start doing videos on Star Wars. Go the way of the idiot that actually defended Templin Institute when he made the female Space Marine video. Just do Star Wars. Stay away from the serious lore. Because you're visibly not even... You don't care about it. So... Again, we reacted to all of this video in Lord Destroyers episode 5, so expect an edit soon to land on the channel when we make the second episode of the best of. BIIIG is not a lore master. He doesn't even qualify as an expert. When he's not making lore up to make people laugh in Adeptus Ridiculous, that remember, is the only one that openly claims to care about humor more than accuracy, BIIIG never did, and openly makes lore videos that are riddled with mistakes, and I have proof of it, proof so heavy that it is 5 hours long. You see, I went under invitation of Lumi Angler, also known as Lamlam, on a stream with her, to watch and react to the first part of BIIIG is every single Warhammer 40k faction re-explained. It is a 2 hours video that it took us 5 hours to react to. For the simple fact that every 2 phrases, the third was wrong. In this same video, he even claims that the Catan were impossible to slay by everyone during the War in Heaven, just to contradict himself a bit later when he talks about how the Necrons killed the Catan Landugor, also known as the Flayer. This video is just general broad strokes on every single faction and pieces of human and non-human history of 40k. And it is filled with mistakes, missing context, and outright wrong information. Again, want proof? The stream is there, in the description. Click the link and go and watch. You can't be an expert if you are explaining the universe in broad strokes, and even then you get stuff wrong. And you can tell me it is impossible to make a video this long and still keep all info in check and correct. His part 1 is 1 hour and 56 minutes long. Our longest video is Badab War Part 3, and it is a minute shy of 2 hours. And it is 100% correct beginning to end. Even if we count both parts of the videos of BIIIG, our Badab War series is over 6 hours long, and in those 6 hours, the only mistakes were typos in a couple of names. BIIIG might be a 40k YouTuber, but he's very far from a lore YouTuber. That title is given too lightly in this day and age. Lore YouTubers take the lore seriously. They don't use it to farm clout and then ignore an entire retcon and fail to spot shitty lore inside that same retcon just because it agrees once again with their own shitty ideology. Once again, you are better off reading the wikis. At least they won't confuse the Unification Wars with the Great Crusade, which is a thing he did in part 1. And with this, once again, we come to the final YouTuber included in this list. And to be honest, I don't feel well with having him here. I am talking of none other than Luetin09. Now, for those that don't know, Luetin is pretty much my indirect mentor when it comes to 40k. I learned the part of the English I speak today through his lore videos. This was very much long ago, when I was still learning about 40k. He's not here for mistakes when it comes to the lore. I clocked a few in some of his videos before I stopped watching other YouTubers, not out of arrogance, mind you. I just get tired of 40k all the time after working on our videos, but they were negligible. Typos, some confused info, a wrong date here and there. He's an expert. On him I can say it openly. But unfortunately, expert or not, smart or not, correct or not, nobody's 100% immune from having dumb opinions.
What kind of dumb opinions?
You see, Luetin in April 2020, which was still the period where I was watching him, released a video called Canon and Retcon are not a thing in 40k. Pretty much the entire video is spent on saying that the lore has and will change often, that there is no confirmed canon, that canon by itself doesn't exist in 40k, but I hope that I don't need to specify how dumb of an opinion this is when it comes to a universe following a prescribed narrative. And that has spent more than a decade building up series of books like the Horus Heresy. You want to tell me that you, a lore channel, believe that a universe that follows a canon for various events that have happened in the past and that will happen in the future has no canon, Luetin? Then I must ask 2 questions. One, you guys already know. If there is no canon, what the fuck are the books of 40k about? Is this official material or just overpriced fanfiction by this point? Do I need to read this to be a 40k lore expert? Or they are just useless stuff and I can make up in my mind what I want and say that it is canon because 40k has 0 canon? But more importantly, Luetin, explain to me, if there is no canon, what the fuck is all this? You are telling me that you, a lore YouTuber, somebody that I was fond of and that was my initiation to the universe, I spent so much time researching, narrating, editing and publishing these many lore videos without even believing what you yourself were saying in them? How should I take them seriously, knowing that you think that there is no canon? And yet you make videos following the canon lore of 40k.
This is fucking tragic. Look at yourself.
And if this was the only problem, I could just discount it as the stupid opinion held by an expert. But in episode 14 of Lore Destroyers, we watched his latest video about the Terminus Decree retcon in the lore. I am not joking with you. The entire video is an over an hour long cope session to try and justify lore that makes no sense. Luetin knows of Basilio Fo and the Terminus Sanction. He says so himself in this video. And yet at one point, he even tried to justify this retcon with the unreliable narrator excuse for a codex. Codexes don't have in-universe narrators. Trust me, I know. I study them religiously for all of our videos. And in this same video, Luetin shows that even this idea is wrong by itself. His claim is that this new lore, retcon as I call it, because Luetin refused for the entire video to admit that it is indeed a stupid retcon made by people that don't know the lore but feign being lore writers, can be explained as just an administratum clerk misinterpreting what the Terminus Decree is.
And the more we dive into it, the more strange it becomes, because even if it was intended as some kind of misdirect, as can happen in 40k, some Imperial adept made a vast misinterpretation of whatever avatar you want to use as an unreliable narrator, we return to that question of, well, should that be happening in a codex? I mean, I feel like probably not, but on the other hand, I guess it's kind of established for the longest time that codex books can do that. I think my first rebuttal to that point, though, would be sure, but in the past there was a lot more focus on a codex being like a delivery system for lore.
That is 100% impossible. The Terminus Decree is a secret order given to the Grey Knights to be kept in custody in case the Imperium was ever on the point of falling and being destroyed. It is pretty much a secret last resort. This secret last resort is not known in the general Imperium of Men, let alone in the Administratum. In fact, canonically, before the stupid retcon, nobody knew what was written on it. Because the only person that knows that it exists and knows how to access it, and that can call for the Terminus Decree order to be put into effect, is Kaldor Drago, the current Supreme Grandmaster of the Grey Knights. But pay attention, he knows it exists. Not even he knows what the fuck is written on it. So, how in the hell did an administrative clerk misinterpret something that nobody knows exists? And if they know it exists, don't know what's written on it? Luetin, I am sorry to say it, mate, but this opinion alone puts into doubt the entirety of your repertoire of videos. Because if you don't believe that there is canon lore, timeline, and series of events to follow, think about it. Why should I trust anything you say? Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It creates a doubt that you might not be telling the full story, because you don't believe in canon. Thing that is reinforced by your claim in the video about canon. That people critique you because they don't find you in part
for Pontius. I feel a little bad for him because he kind of lost his hero, kind of, you know? It's embarrassing that you care so much about lore, that you are scaring normies and don't want your hobby to be destroyed. So embarrassing. Yep, welcome to the civil war that has been raging throughout the 40k fan base. Yeah. Against normies, but if they don't have as deep of an interest into it and will change it into something it's not, I don't want to know. Yeah. They didn't think about that, obviously.
It's always interesting on YouTube how you as a producer can put together a video, but never quite imagine the reaction that it will get. My Tau video turned out to be one which was unusually triggering for many. Generally, this was because I presented it from an Imperial perspective, one that painted the Tau in a more negative light than their hopeful forward-looking perspectives, from their perspective. The reason I did this is because, generally speaking, the lore of 40k is presented from an Imperial perspective. It's not about bias, it's just how it is. Also, and I would fully admit that I did a bad job of illustrating this, it is an ongoing joke with me that I hate the Tau passionately, and I thought that perhaps my tone and just general disposition would be enough to convey that message, but I was very clearly wrong. Anyway, My point is, I would hope that by now people understand I don't have an inherent overarching bias in 40k. I mean, for one, I own like 4 different armies.
Humans
okay?
first!
2
Fuck
Imperium,
you,
and to just say
Xeno
answering the comments,
scum!
the armies are Ultras, Eldar, Sisters, and Chaos. I'm hopeful that people can see I don't have an explicit bias, mainly from the fact in the past few years I have
Also
repeatedly
catgirls.
noted how the Emperor is, to put it bluntly, a bit of a dick. I will also juxtapose this with other instances where I present the Emperor as being the godly, all-powerful saviour of mankind. So,
well, personally, I'd argue he's not as bad as Singe or, you know, any of the other Chaos Gods, but yeah, I digress.
Look, I really feel it should be clear by now, but that's of course never how things go. I mean, we can always say it's impossible to be truly impartial, and I would say, of course, that is true.
It is not this hard to be impartial. Our Bad War series has been praised more than once because it shows the good and the bad of both sides of the war. It isn't just Imperium good, Euron bad, Euron heretic. We spoke of all the injustices that the Astral Claws and the Warders suffered. Many people commented that they didn't know of all the crimes some of the loyalist chapters inflicted against the Warders of the Maelstrom. You just need to say the whole truth. It is not your prerogative to give an interpretation to canon and clear lore. We are lore YouTubers.
Yeah, they hopefully genocided, oppressed, and occasionally sterilized their supposed allies.
Our duty is to explain the lore as clearly and unbiasedly as possible. We are not here to give our opinions and masquerade them as canon. We can make theories. I myself did so. Fuck, my theory on the Ghost Razors of Euron being the reason he fell to Chaos made Reddit go crazy for a few months. But still, my duty, and by definition your duty, is lore first, theories second, opinions third. That is it. Viewers, do you want to know why in every single lore video we ever made, we leave the sources we used in the description? There is 2 answers to that. Firstly, you can check the lore we explained in the video with your own eyes, read the source material, and learn the stuff we didn't say in the video because it was not relevant to the argument we chose to talk about. Pretty much to learn the whole story by yourself. And secondly, because if we are wrong, we want people to have the means to prove we are wrong. You think one of our theories is wrong? Read the sources. Tell us why. You find a mistake? Read the sources. Tell us where. Lore YouTubers aren't infallible, but they must strive to be at all times. And a critique I will move to Luet in 09, but especially to all the others mentioned in this video, is that they are guilty of creating a culture of toxic positivity for 40k. All of them refuse to acknowledge retcons. All of them refuse to acknowledge shitty lore. All of them refuse to call out Games Workshop for the dip in quality that the lore had after the addition of the Primaris. Why? We all love the same thing. We must show that we have standards. We are not slop consumers. We need to call out Games Workshop, a multi-billion-dollar company, and their highly paid expert writers for writing utter bullshit more often than not. Games Workshop has ditched any kind of quality control at this point. The lore is going actively to hell, and the biggest names of the 40k lore community refuse to acknowledge it.
That's very bad behavior.
It is not only bad, it shows weakness to not even say out loud when someone is actively wrong. And this brings me to the final argument I want to talk about in this video, which is that the majority of these YouTubers fail to see the Imperium as a necessary evil for the survival of humanity. In fact,
that's a Chad way to prove competence. Oh, I got it wrong? Here's the sources. Please tell me where I got it wrong. Yeah, no, actively giving people sources to disprove it is actually a good thing, because it not only makes you seem more correct, it makes you look more competent, it makes you look more sure of yourself. It shows people, hey, you can trust me, but you know, here's proof. You're backing up everything. Oh wow, whoops. Yeah, so
actively wrong. And this brings me to the final argument I want to talk about in this video, which is that the majority of these YouTubers fail to see the Imperium as a necessary evil for the survival of humanity. In fact, they see the Imperium of Men either as evil as the others, which they aren't, or in the case of some of them, like Eons of Battle, worse than the others in the setting. Now, I explained in detail what made humans what they are now in my video The Imperium are the good guys of 40k. It is an hour-long video and it is considered one of the best introduction to 40k from the point of view of humanity. This This comes from the comments under the video, not from me. But because there are still people that don't understand the context of existence of humanity in 40k, I have decided, for the sake of the so-beloved media literacy crowd, to use an example to explain the concept of grey morality and necessary evil that might be a bit easier to understand. In fact, we will go in comic book territory. We will talk of my favorite DC anti-hero of all time. We will talk of Red Hood. Or maybe you know him with another name.
You really have no idea, do you, Bruce?
Jason. But you're dead.
Let's not fall out here, Bats. I might have told you a teeny tiny little lie. But come on, look at the boy. You did good. We did good. You should be proud.
Now, before delving into the story of Jason Todd, also known as Robin and then Red Hood, we will need to make a little distinction between the Jason Todd presented in the Arkham Knight video game and the Jason Todd of the comic books. Because they not only have different histories, but they also have different motivations. In fact, technically the Jason Todd of the video game is not the canon version. In the comic books, Jason didn't survive his imprisonment by Joker. He was killed, 100% dead. He was later brought back using the Lazarus Pit and came back to life, and adopted the identity of Red Hood, to have his vengeance on both Joker and also Batman. But his vengeance against Batman differs between the video game and the comic books. In the video game, Jason wants to kill Batman because he failed to save him from the clutches of Joker. Keep in mind that Joker in this game is dead. What we see through the game is an hallucination by Bruce.
What's the matter? Lost for words? I expected more. I'm hurt.
Joker sent me the film. I saw him kill you.
Don't you dare lie to me! How long did you wait before replacing me, huh? A month? A week?
Damn.
I trusted you! And you just
No,
left me to
it's still
die!
same video.
That's not what happened.
You always told me, Bruce. Focus on what I want to achieve, and it'll happen.
I didn't know there were these differences between the comics and the video game, actually. I knew about the story in the video game. I watched a complete another playthrough by a German German YouTuber, you know? Wow. Honestly, it's not a bad game adaptation. But do they say it's not canonical? Do they?
You wanna know what I want now, huh? I want you dead.
Damn.
You can't hide from me! I will hunt you down!
But in the original story and in the comic books, Jason was not angry at Bruce for failing to save him. He was angry that he didn't kill the Joker after the Joker killed him.
Is that what you think this is about? That you let me die? I don't know what clouds your judgment worse. Your
Video
guilt or your
and audio
antiquated...
altered because of YouTube copyright system, uncensored, available on Patreon. God damn it, YouTube!
sense of morality. Bruce, I forgive you for not saving me. But why? Why on God's earth? Is he still alive?
Damn.
Jason wants vengeance against the Joker for what he did, and he wants Batman to acknowledge that his code of morality is not only wrong, but it is actively ending more lives than if he just dealt with the Joker once and...
Which is true. Bruce probably has more blood on his hands than, you know, any single villain he's ever fought on their, you know, on their own. Just by letting them live. That's why I like the absolute Batman. He kinda, you know, cut open Bane's back. Jason makes a good point, honestly. No, Batman is extremely hypocritical. He says, I don't kill anyone. His analogy of, if you kill a killer, there will be the same amount of killers in the world is stupid, because if you kill a second killer, there is one less. Just like it's impossible to save everyone, just like it's impossible to make everyone happy. Yeah, but kill the fucking villain if they're irredeemable, right? depending on the iteration, Kingpin ain't all that bad. Right? Depending on the iteration, Kingpin pays his people, forgives them if they fail once or twice. You know, it's fucking Batman. What do you want to? What do you expect? For a mob boss, pretty okay. The Joker, not so much. Yes, and if you kill 2 killers, there's 1 less killer. Exactly, that's what I just said.
For all.
Ignoring what he's done in the past. Blindly, stupidly disregarding the entire graveyards he's filled. The thousands who have suffered. The friends he's crippled. You know, I thought I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt. If it had been you that he'd beat to a bloody pulp, if he had taken you from this world, I would have done nothing but search the planet for this pathetic pile of evil death-worshipping garbage. And send him off to hell.
Jason is a grey morality character that is so well written that the writers of his comic books need to go out of their way to not make you agree with him. Because when you think about it, he is right. The code of morality of Bruce Wayne is not only actively not working, as he keeps arresting the Joker, sending him in prison, only for him to escape and kill more people, but that it has turned from a code of morality to active stupidity. This guy has killed thousands, maimed even more. He has paralyzed Batgirl, also known as Barbara Gordon, also known now as Oracle, the main helper of Batman from her own base. And you want to know how this all ends in some of the DC timelines? With Batman acknowledging that the blood of all the people Joker killed is also on his own hands.
No more.
Yep, I love this scene.
All the people I murdered by letting you live.
I never kept count.
I did.
I know. And I love you for it.
Is my explanation in this moment making you question which moral choice is correct? Is it correct to have the moral high ground of not killing Joker? Or is it wrong because that will just let him kill more? Actively
kill the fucking Joker! It's not that difficult! In multiple iterations, Batman killed the Joker. When... Was it when Joker killed Superman's wife, or was it when he tried to and failed? I don't know. Where he had Joker in his car, and Joker was making all those jokes, and, you know, they drove to the police station, and just before getting out, he snaps Joker's neck and goes into prison because he killed a man. He still stands on his own morals, but he finally did it. He recognized that it doesn't work for everyone. Oh my god, there's no way that the absolute madman hasn't killed some of his villains, right? No, Bane's dead, but because of the Joker, apparently. Honestly, Bane should have died just from Batman alone, but yeah, whatever. What's shocking is that Gotham's law system hasn't killed Joker yet. You'd think Joker would have a bounty on his head. Yep. It's not shocking. They are probably profiting from what he does. Fair. The Joker cannot be reformed. He cannot. Because being reformed is his worst nightmare. I mean, there was one iteration of the Joker that was reformed, which quickly after changed. But yeah. What moral high ground? The Joker has poisoned and killed multiple people. He's less a crime boss and more a domestic terrorist. When I said it redeemable, I was talking about Kingpin because he pays his people and shit. I said Joker is not redeemable, except for a single iteration where he became a lawyer and then the Joker again. Small switcheroonie.
turning your own morality against you and innocent people? Is it correct to end his life like a vigilante and turning into a killer yourself? Or is it wrong and the people he will kill because you spared him will not weigh on your consciousness? Are you asking yourself these questions? Good, because I want to reveal you a little secret.
That's the point!
That is what grey morality is all about. Good and bad people pushed into a corner and being forced to face tough choices. And you want to know how this applies to 40k? Because to put it simply, the Imperium never had a choice in what they became. Again, watch my video on it to see it in extreme details. But humans became what they are out of necessity. Keep in mind that when I got my title, I meant good as in the more justified in their own evil. Not good as they are nice. Because the Imperium is not nice. The Imperium must keep a grey morality out of sheer survival. If they share the ideology of Batman that I just showed to you, where their own moral high ground ended up overwriting the desire of humanity to survive in the Milky Way galaxy against all of the enemies it has, humans would already be fucking extinct in 40k. Yep. How can the Imperium be satire when before becoming an empire that focuses on the survival of humanity and human supremacy of the stars, they were the only faction that openly offered peace to everyone and coexistence with everyone just to be betrayed and brought to the edge of extinction over and over? What should have humanity in 40k done? Rolled over and died? Was that a preferred outcome than reaching the breaking point and becoming openly hostile to your own enemies? At that point, you have to ask yourself a question. Are you really the bad guy of a situation if everything you have to do is done by sheer will to survive? Humans in 40k are not the bad guys. They are as good as the galaxy will ever let them be. That doesn't make them the evil faction. It makes them a faction focusing on survival above everything. Their morality can't reconcile with what we classify as good and evil. Because in the grim darkness of the far future, good and evil are gone. There is surviving and there is dying. To use a quote I read some time ago for the Imperium of Men, people judge us on the decisions we make, but they don't know the options we had. Everyone saying the Imperium is evil has zero understanding of the context in which the Imperium exists, and by definition, doesn't understand the lore. So, fuck off with the opinions of the Imperium being the bad guys, the Imperium being—
I learned quite a bit just from this. Wow.
fascists. The Imperium could be nicer if the humans were nicer and all the bullshit coming from people that don't bother to learn the history of humanity and the galaxy. In a war for survival, the only real sin is losing.
Wow. I gotta admit, this is pretty good. Boy, it must be late for a movie. It's 10 p.m. I'm not editing it. Tomorrow there's no video. No video tomorrow. 1 a.m. for me. God damn. This was interesting. And before anybody mentions the retcon in the 9th edition of the Custodes Codex that says the custodians might recruit children from outside noble families and even Terra if they get impressed by the wild traveling around the galaxy. There is quite a few problems with this retcon. First, realistically, we have an army that was so uber isolationist that Gilliman pretty much had to threaten them to get out of the place. How often would they have happened until now? Even now, I won't explain in detail how custodians would be impressed by a possible aspirant when they recruit all toddlers and young children. What do planets have? Gladiatory ball pits? No? Custodians don't pay the ticket? Even if they did find impressive toddler to bring back to make into custodian with a rate of mortality of almost 100%, how many would even become custodians? To be honest, every time I hear about that retcon, I imagine Gladiator, but with kids with foam swords in a ball pit, with a kid going, "Are you not entertained?" That is why the retcon is ignored. At best, it is inconsequential. At worst, it is utter nonsense. Edit. Also, I was made to notice that I misremembered the scene where a woman sees a marine showing and sees his equipment. Even if I do remember a similar scene in the Heresy, I will check. The scene isn't in Horus Rising, but in Emperor's Gift. Unfortunately, I read a lot of material and stuff refuses to give her sometimes. So yeah, correct, Laura. Just said the wrong source. Wow. Some of the now extinct rejuvenation treatment even used alien DNA and genetic material, as explained in the book. The great work, so yeah. Needed here exactly. I did a pretty decent accent, didn't I? It wasn't a bad copy, was it? Damn, he did answer a lot of stuff, didn't he? Damn. Yeah. God damn. This was a lot to get through. Thank you for the indirect lore explanation. Damn, I can barely see what I'm writing. Yeah, this was the Pontius about Warhammer 40k YouTubers are a disgrace 3 months ago. Italia! I enjoyed this video a lot, even though I sometimes didn't talk a lot. I know it is quite late for me. I should be sleeping, but this was enjoyable nonetheless. I do enjoy Warhammer myself. I played Space Marine 2 quite a bit, but the strategy side of Warhammer is not so my forte. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you check out Pontius. Leave him likes, comment, and subscribe. And bye-bye.